Get flowers or can't flowers.
Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Breakfast with Roger and Friends on this 9th day of July, as it's Wednesday all day. And we say good morning to Terry Chamberlain. Good morning, Terry. Good to see you.
Good morning.
Gary Hall. Honked as he came into the parking lot early this morning.
Yeah, and Roger, you know that check you gave me to be your friend? It bounced.
It bounced?
Yeah.
Well, just be happy it did something.
You got another one?
Yeah, sure. It'll bounce as well. And Tyrus Killiam is here all the way from Princeville. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
What the fog? Did you run into any fog this morning?
A little bit.
A little bit over in Tazewell County. Very, very, very thick.
Was it?
Yeah. How about
yeah.
Princeville?
Definitely.
Yeah.
For sure the whole way here.
I sure am glad everybody else saw the fog because I thought it was just me.
No.
Yeah.
Well, I know.
Your eyes going.
It's in the morning.
But it was amazing how you would drive in Morton very heavy until I got to East Peoria and lighten up downtown Peoria. Not bad at all. But as I started out in this direction, going west, it started getting heavier. But it's nothing like some of the fog that they have in London. At any rate, we'll give you the complete scoop on the weather coming up here very, very shortly. And what's the latest, Gary? I know you're close to Phil Salzer, and we've missed connections on the phone. What do you hear about the Heart of Illinois Fair? Any encouraging news? Because they've canceled the livestock and the pigs and the hogs and the horses and the cows
and the flowers
and the flower. Yeah, even the flowers. Probably they still have the pie eating contest. That's on.
Yep, that was listed.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I went into training yesterday.
I've been in training my whole life.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So you hear anything from Phil? Going back to my original question, he talked about the fair with you.
He every time I ask him about it, because West Central sponsors the fair,
Yeah,
and
they're one of the main sponsors. Yes,
right.
they are. Yeah.
Yeah, and they asked me, because I'm on the board, they asked me to ask him, and so I did, and well, he says we'll
get back to you.
And I was going to talk to him yesterday, but something happened, and I had my mind on something else, and so
yeah, you wound up going to the emergency room. Did you say?
Yeah, Proctor.
Mm-hmm.
I recommend Proctor Emergency Room.
Oh, yes.
You get in pretty quick.
I know it very well. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that was Mom's of choice.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't want to be too critical at this point, but St. Francis, because it is the largest and the biggest, and it's a huge complex now. I hear stories of how long you sit in the waiting room waiting to be seen. And that's one of the reasons why last couple of times I've had to go to an ER to have something checked out. I went over to Pekin, and it's no problem whatsoever.
Well, yeah.
So anyway, Phil
You're not wrong about that, though. I mean,
I'd rather go to Proctor speaking.
I don't want to. We're talking about his employer, Tyrus, who works for us at St. Francis. He knows his way around the place. Have you ever thought about putting on a pedometer? Remember when I sent away as a kid for a pedometer, and it didn't work, but it acted like it was working. But there was a time when they were popular.
This one right here.
They've upgraded big time now. Yeah.
So that looks like a smartwatch.
Well, yeah. Well, then there's the Apple Watches, but I didn't need to get an Apple Watch. This one does the same thing.
Yeah.
And it's cheaper.
So what is it?
I'm just gonna get this one.
Is it a Peach Watch or?
No, this one's just it counts your steps, your heart rate, how many miles you go.
So what do you do in an average day? Transporting people around. What?
Like
daily.
I would say 18.
Well, don't say I will say. Look at your watch.
Well, okay, 18,000 to 20,000 steps, and then you're doing like 8 to 10 miles.
So how many miles per hour?
Wow. 8 to 10 miles a day?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Serious.
So you're walking at 4
Walking
miles per
around
hour?
and
My goodness.
walking around and pushing people around. And,
So
yeah.
you work 5 or 6 days a week? Now, if these are hard questions,
no,
I go
it's like
back
it's
to
5.
2 and 2 or 4.
You didn't know there was going to be a test, did you?
Yeah.
No, it's,
like,
it's
what,
5.
Okay, so 5 times 8 is 40 miles.
Mhm.
My goodness, you have to be in great shape. No wonder they have young folks doing it. Although I've seen when I was
Yeah.
at Methodist, we had older people. They were
Yeah, we got a
volunteers,
couple older guys.
but you get paid for walking.
Yeah. Yep.
They do
Paid
too
for
in
walking,
London.
for sure.
Yeah.
And a good deed.
At the end of the day, do you feel tired, exhausted, worn out, or you feel like, I'm in great shape for what are you, 25, 26 now?
26 now. Yeah.
I said, when was your birthday?
June 9th.
Gee, and we didn't even
I
know
didn't.
about that.
Where was the cake?
Well, that
There
was
should have been a cake in
in the fridge.
that's our job, Gary.
He's got to provide the cake, right?
I never heard of someone having a birthday and they have to come up with a cake.
Or like school, if it was your birthday, you were supposed to bring
Yeah.
treats.
School? We're older Americans. My brother had a birthday yesterday, but we celebrated on Sunday, and they had a cake for him. My Lord, he's 94. What are you going to do? Say, well, you got to go to Kroger and get a cake.
There's a point where it dresses.
If you're going to get a cake, it's got to be Tresker's. Right?
I got to turn you down. You're shouting into the
sorry.
microphone.
I got excited. We start talking about cakes.
You're thinking that you're at one of your protests you go to all the time. Anyway, happy birthday.
Thank you.
I like your necklace as well.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, anyway, we have a program as usual, and a little reminder where you can find us. I get confused when people say, "Where are you?" By the way, I want to give a big plug, and I'll do it later on when the audience is a little larger, early in the program. But we stopped yesterday at the Mackinac Family Restaurant, and I'll tell you what, their food is so. You want to
Yes, it
eat
is.
home cooked? Have you been there?
Oh, yeah, it's good.
Oh, I tell you, if you want to eat home cooked meal, not the stuff that arrives on a big semi and they take it into the kitchen and heat it up. We had a cup, only a cup of potato soup, and was it? It was thick potatoes, real potatoes in
German.
potato soup.
German potato soup, right?
No, they're from Lebanon. And they are Lebanese people.
Well, it sounds like German.
When were you over at Mackinac? That's out of your home ground territory, Gary.
I go all kinds of places.
Okay.
Somebody says,
You get in the car and say, well, let's see, where am I going to go today? I think I'll go to Mackinac.
Let's go to France. Yeah.
my wife likes to find different places to eat.
Well, I do too, as a matter of fact.
Mhm.
At any rate, Mackinac Family
Oh,
Restaurant, and the prices are reasonable, and desserts are just unbelievable. I was looking at some of the pies and cakes, and I got home and I gained weight just looking at
So
what
was
they
there-
have.
Did you go to the winery while you were there?
No, I'm not a big drinker. I'm not even a little drinker, as a matter of fact.
Well,
I'm not big on wineries.
a little wine with your
Yeah.
meal is pretty good.
Oh, I don't
Helps it go down a
dispute
little
it.
bit better.
It isn't that I don't like it; it doesn't like me. If you know
Oh.
what I mean.
Yeah.
The
Well, don't whine
stomach
about
really good. I wasn't until you brought it up. Well, let's get into the news and see what's happening this morning. I will start with the weather, brought to you by Mr. Weather, Kyle Arnold. I think regular listeners know he's in the insurance business. He's been there for quite a number of years, and he's a guy that, if you want to, he'll look at your insurance portfolio, see how he can find the right price for the coverage that you would like to have. And it doesn't matter what kind of insurance, whether it's a homeowner's, auto, or even life insurance or health insurance for that matter. And you can reach Kyle today at 309-682-0519. As we mentioned, We have some fog in the area, but first of all, I'd like to mention that Central Illinois received a number of scattered showers yesterday afternoon to the delight of farmers. How about in your neighborhood, Terry? Did you get a popcorn shower yesterday?
Had two. There was one earlier in the day, like about 10:30, 11ish,
Mhm.
and then sun came out, beautiful day, and then late yesterday afternoon it clouded up, and that mean we had
That was
thunder.
like 4:30,
Yeah.
5 o'clock ish. Yeah.
Yeah.
In Princeville.
Well, I was at the hospital,
Okay.
so
How about
I don't know
in
if it. I think it rained there, but I don't know. I wasn't there, so
You weren't. Okay.
I'm gonna assume it rained there.
Well,
though.
like 7 o'clock, there was a little bit of a sprinkle coming down for a little bit.
You live where? Near
North Crest, near the
Nebraska?
Nebraska.
Okay.
Yeah.
We were in Mackinac, and it rained. I mean, really rained, and then it let up, and it looked like it was gonna. And then what do you know? It clouded up again, and another popcorn shower. So I'm sure the farmers are happy about that in that area. Otherwise, today we're talking about foggy areas of central Illinois. It will become eventually sunny and a high of 88. Tonight, partly cloudy, low 68. Tomorrow, it'll be sunny, 30% chance for rain, and look for fog tomorrow morning. The high tomorrow, 87. Friday, as we look ahead, partly sunny, 40% chance for afternoon rain, and a high of 90. We're only up to 85 on Saturday with possible showers, and currently our temperature is 70 degrees. Now, with our lead story, here's Terry.
The death toll from the floods in Texas keeps rising. Officials say 110 have died, and another 161 remain missing. Certain recovery efforts are continuing. President Trump will fly to Texas Friday to survey the devastation left behind by the waters of the Guadalupe River and to extend his personal condolences.
10 very radical individuals have been arrested by police and federal authorities in Alvarado, Texas, after they started firing at unsuspecting ICE agents and police outside an immigration detention center. An officer was shot in the neck, but it was apparently only a graze wound. He was treated and released. The 10 who were dressed in black military-style clothing have been charged with attempted murder. Officials said after the shooting, they fled into nearby woods to hide, but were caught without too much difficulty.
By a vote of 8-1, the Supreme Court said the Trump administration could continue to carry out mass layoffs in the federal government. A lower court ruling by a Democrat district judge blocked the president's executive order to reduce thousands of unnecessary jobs, many created under the Biden administration. Only Justice Ketanji Jackson disagreed with the majority.
A federal judge has ruled she has more power than Congress, apparently, after the big, beautiful bill was passed by Congress and signed by the president. Judge Indira Tawani issued a restraining order blocking the law that called for the only 1 year, defunding of Planned Parenthood monies for abortion. Nothing in the Constitution allows the judge to issue such a decision, which is expected to be overturned.
In local news, Peoria police are seeking a car and its 3 occupants who fired a number of shots in the 500 block of Main Street in downtown Peoria Monday night. The incident took place around 10:30 p.m. Luckily, no injuries and no damage.
And a man was stabbed around 3:30 in the morning in the 700 block of Spalding Avenue. Whenever I hear something like that, like 3:30 in the morning, you think, well, what are you doing out walking the streets in downtown Peoria? Yeah, I think
Trying to
you're
get
right.
home.
Yeah, he was lost. At any rate, he was approached and asked for money. He refused to give anything to his attacker, so the victim got stabbed. He went to a local hospital with a non-life-threatening injury. Police are looking for the bad guy.
A group of people will hold a march Saturday morning calling for the end of such violence in the city. They'll gather at City Hall at 10 a.m. and march to Neighborhood House at 1015 South Matthew Street. The event is sponsored by Next Level Academies.
Let's look at some of the stories we're following this morning on Breakfast with Roger and Friends. Let's get into the world of sports. Tyrus is here with Cubs lose. Cubs lose
Yes, they did.
after they handled your St. Louis Cardinals.
Yeah, pretty.
Did they get shut out? The last I saw, they were losing 5-0.
Yeah, in that game, the Cardinals ended up losing 11-0 in that final game, right there.
With the Cubs, yeah.
Yeah.
But against Minnesota, I think the Cubs got shut out, didn't they?
Nope. So the Cubs lost 8-1. The Cubs.
Oh, they did score a run.
Yeah, they got a run. The Cubs' only run came on a pinch hit home run from Justin Turner in the 9th inning. So they avoided the shutout. They play again tonight at 6:40. The Cardinals win against the Nationals 4-2. They got 2 homers in this game. A 2-run homer from Brendan Donovan to tie the game. Then a solo homer later from Lars Nootbaar. And Alec Burleson chipped in with an RBI double to win 4-2. The Cards would have had one more run, but James Wood of the Nationals with his he's pretty tall. I think he's like 6'6" or 6'7". Robbed a home run from Mason Wynn. All he had to do was basically just reach up and grab this. It would have gone over, but they play tonight at 6:45 as the Cards go for the series win, which they need.
Yes.
The Yankees beat the Mariners 10-3 as the Yankees hit 3 homers in this one. Cal Raleigh of the Mariners hit his 36th home run of the season, staying
Who is
2 ahead
that?
of Judge Cal Raleigh, the catcher.
Oh, that's right, for Seattle.
Yeah,
He hit,
he's-
I think, 3 during the series with
Oh,
the
yeah.
Cubs at Wrigley Field.
Yeah,
He's a horse.
He's a tank. He's also hitting better this year too. He was like last year. He was hitting all these homers still, but he was striking out more. So now he's more of a
Well,
hitter
it's
this
common.
year.
Isn't it common among home run hitters to also be, if not a leader, one of the highest players with strikeouts?
Yeah,
you know.
I call them go for broke guys.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
because
Good for you.
they're but they'd be like hitting 230 and they'd have like 30 something homers. I
And
just
maybe 70 RBIs.
right.
Or ribbies, as they call it.
Because for some reason nobody likes a 300 hitter or even like a 280 hitter or
Oh, you're right.
350. It's so weird.
I never heard of him until he came to Chicago to play against the Cubs.
I know he doesn't get.
He doesn't get the pub, does he?
No, he doesn't. He
If you're not in
should.
New York or LA on the East Coast or West Coast, if you're in the Midwest or
He
in
should.
this case Northwest, people don't hear about you.
Yeah, he's one of the best
Yeah.
players in the game right now. The Brewers beat the Dodgers 3-1. Jacob Mizraski, the new righty for them.
Yeah, did you see that? I think the first hitter up or second. First one, Ohtani hit a home run
Oh,
to
yep,
lead off the game for the Dodgers.
sure did.
The key to success.
Anyways, this kid, he had another great start. 6 innings, 4 hits, 1 earned run, which was Ohtani, and then 1 walk and 12 strikeouts.
He's a real thing, isn't he?
Yeah, he's only given up 8 runs so far in
Yeah,
all these
yeah.
starts that he's had.
Good for him.
The White Sox lose 6-1 to the Blue Jays. The Reds lose to the Marlins 12-2. Pirates lose to the Royals 4-3. Padres shut out the Diamondbacks 1-0, and the Phillies lose to the Giants 4-3. The Giants win on a walk-off inside the park homer from Patrick Bailey. It was a 3-run.
Inside the park home run.
Yep, it hit off that top of that because they were in San Fran, and it hit off that top of the right center wall, and it bounced clear over there, and
Bounced all the way to San Diego.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Or Oakland.
So all of them
Nobody
came
wanted to
around
go
and
get it.
scored. And there was another one that happened too. It was Lawrence Butler of the Athletics. He hit 2 homers as they beat the Braves 10-1, and then he led off the game with the Athletics' first leadoff homer in 82 years. Like
82 years.
inside the park
Oh, okay.
Homer.
Well, that
and leading off. So
that's pretty hard today to get an inside park home run. It's
Yeah.
unusual. Okay. Anything else in the world of sports?
Yes, sir. In some NBA news, it is summer league time. The Bulls start Friday versus the Raptors at 7 p.m. The Atlanta Hawks signed sharpshooter guard Luke Kennard and MVP NBA champ Thunder guard Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is a NBA 2K26 cover athlete. And then in some NHL news, Isaac Howard, who won the 2025 Hobie Baker Memorial Award as the top men's player in NCAA hockey, was traded to the Edmonton Oilers.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah.
Sure.
Tampa Bay Lightning of Tuesday for Sam O'Reilly. So I don't know. He wanted a different opportunity, and they found him
They gave him the opportunity.
they found him a
So
trade
let's
partner.
go hit you on the way out, pal.
I just don't think they were going to bring him up or something yet, and he wanted to play. So I think the Oilers are going to give him a shot here. And then I got some WNBA news.
Oh, I can't
for you.
wait. I'm on the edge of my seat.
Caitlin Clark is back.
Oh, that's good.
There you go.
We enjoy that.
She's back from her injury and will play today versus the Golden State Valkyries at 11 a.m. And the Fever sitting at 9-9, needing to go on a run. So
they're actually in the basketball season has started.
Oh, yeah.
Women's.
Yeah.
I was not aware of that. not that I'm, I miss it, but
9-9. The Indiana Fever.
not too good.
So they are getting her back at a pretty good time to maybe go on a run.
Do you really follow them? I mean, do you really follow them?
I do.
Okay.
She just hasn't been playing, so
Ooh, Caitlin Clark.
yeah.
They did before she came along. I'll bet you could care less.
No, I I think they just been getting new talent in, so
Take your word for it. Did you see the video of one of the players coming off the floor? I don't know what she was upset as she walked by the coach who was holding a laptop, I guess, as some of the coaches do. She knocked it out of the coach's hand.
oh yeah.
Did you see that? Who does she think she is anyway? Must be a
Maybe didn't agree, I guess.
Yeah.
Supposedly.
Yeah, but you don't do that to the
Nah.
coach.
Yeah, that's
I-
showing up.
I
That's
would've
showing
sent
up
her
the
too.
coach.
Yeah, exactly right. Well, anyway, there you have it, all the latest news, weather, and sports. I don't know what happened to WCBU. Apparently,
Yeah, they haven't had their coffee yet.
there you go.
Ah.
Well, I have a this day in history question, but Gary went to his other office, and I hate to ask the question before he gets here, so we'll wait to ask Mr. Hall about. He was talking prior to the show, and maybe I don't know if you were here at the time. He is a union member, not that that's news. And he's a member on the board of the West Central Trades Union. And they have been, over the years, a big sponsor of the Heart of Illinois Fair. And it goes back to the early days when they first started. A lot of the people who put the fair together, bought the land and took bulldozers and earth moving equipment. They were all union workers who volunteered their time. So they've had a long standing interest in the Heart of Illinois Fair. And I said, what does the union feel about the downgrading of this year's Heart of Illinois Fair? And he gave I wish he were here to defend himself. He gave me a non-answer. I don't know. At any rate, as you said yesterday, Terry, it opens Tuesday. Is that the correct day or Wednesday? It seems like
It's
It's
Tuesday,
usually-
Tuesday the 15th.
in the afternoon, like 4
It
o'clock.
opens at 4 o'clock.
Yeah, and it has been for a number of years now shortened. It used to be Saturday to Saturday,
Yep.
and they used to have a big noon ribbon cutting ceremony to open the fair, and now they do it at 4 in the afternoon. And I think the hours are each day 4 to 10.
4 until 10.
Oh boy,
Although
that's not a fair.
Saturday the 19th will be noon until 11.
And that will be not only the final day of this year's fair, but maybe the final day of any future Heart of Illinois fairs. They might wind up with maybe something next year like Friday and Saturday, and and then eventually Saturday afternoon. And as we talked, and we talked about it because this has been one of the annual highlights of the year for people in Peoria and the Peoria area. It's fair has always been a big deal, and unfortunately, due to high prices for entertainers that used to be free for people attending the fair, each year the number of people attending diminished somewhat. Any rate, we'll continue about. In the meantime, we'll pause for this message.
They are our cuddlers and coworkers, purr machines and love bugs, and constant companions. They are our pets, our family, and they make life so much better. When we face unexpected challenges in life, so do our pets. That's why we're on a mission to support people who love their pets and the pets who love their people, ensuring these families stay exactly where they belong, together. And you have something to offer. With an open heart and mind, there is nothing you can't do. There's no gesture too small or too big when it comes to helping. Whether donating a bag of kibble, sharing an Instagram post of a lost cat, or welcoming a foster pet into your home, every bit of kindness counts. You can help keep pets and people together. Visit petsandpeopletogether.org to learn how to be a helper in your community. This has been a public service announcement brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
And a little reminder, we welcome people watching the program on YouTube. And Terry, once again, remind everybody how, if you're listening on the radio and you want to see what we all look like, which would not be a good decision, but if you do, how do they find us?
Go to the website Breakfast with Roger and Friends, all one word, no spaces in between, .com. And when you get
And that's all there is.
That's all there is. And it'll pop up and it'll give you the logo will pop up and then it'll say watch now or watch live. And you click on that and it takes you to the link and you can see us here in the studio.
But on YouTube, I put in Roger and Friends, LS, all in one lowercase,
Line, yeah.
all in one line,
No
and
space.
no space. And went on the search at YouTube,
And
and it worked.
It'll work. Good. All right. This is our This Day in History question.
Okay.
And we're going to July 9th, 1850. What important event took place?
1850?
1850, yes, sir.
Was it here in the United States?
Yes, it was.
1850. Civil War.
California became a state?
It might have, but that's not
No.
the correct answer.
California became a state.
Well, the gold rush was in 1849.
Well, let's not get in an argument over the wrong answer.
But
We're thinking out loud.
we're thinking out loud.
Okay, all right.
It's called thinking. Have you tried it, Roger?
On occasion,
So 18.
like when I run out of gas.
Did I put gas in?
Yeah.
Let's see. 18
Was it political?
Yes.
have to do with the South.
No.
Okay.
Now, when you say political, I don't want to throw a curveball at you because that's such a broad term. However, it narrows it down from not being sports or horticulture or something. It involves an individual.
An individual.
See if that helps narrow it down.
1850.
Mm-hmm.
Religious?
No.
Born?
Born? No.
Died?
Yes. That was very good. Born, died.
Jeopardy.
Okay, so somebody died in
Yes.
1850. Figure.
And it's kind of unusual.
That he died?
Yes,
Male or female?
What year?
male.
Male. Okay.
Okay.
What would you say, Tyrus?
What'd you say? What year?
1850.
1850.
Yes,
Mhm.
that is correct. You have that right.
That's way before the Civil War.
Mhm.
Yeah. And it's before they
Man.
And the event was a surprise.
surprise event.
Boy,
That he died.
Yes.
Was there a duel?
Oh.
No.
No.
Okay.
I like that. I remember when I was teaching at Bradley as a graduate assistant, and I asked a question, and one of the students said, I said, yes. Never mind. She actually said that.
The guy in Jeopardy did that the other day. He rang the
Oh.
professor and he's like, he goes, no, don't have it.
Oh yeah, that look on their faces when they get the. And,
Well, they just want to click the button.
Well,
you know,
they-
but-
You're right.
Right.
They want to beat the other person. Or
then when they beat, then they can't think of the answer.
Then their
No,
mind
I
goes
don't, I
blank.
don't have the answer.
this same student, uh, she had a propensity. I was not teaching in this class. I was a student in the class, and it's a class in social studies taught by a wonderful Bradley faculty member, Dr. Romeo Garrett, who has been utilized and as well as he should be. But he would ask a question, and she would be the first to put her arm up. And it happened 3 times, and it was a head scratcher. He would call on her, said, "Yes, miss," and I won't say the name. And she would say, "I don't know the answer." 3 times she did that. And I think she was hoping that they wouldn't call on her, but it would look like she had the answer.
Right.
Well, hey, it's past time. We'll pick this up while you think about it.
Okay.
Because it's time to bring you up to date with the stories that we are following as usual. You know, we learned early that hard work produces results, and that's why realtor Kathy Reynolds is so successful. She works hard to get results for her clients seeking to sell or buy their next home, and you can learn more from Kathy today. She's at 309 696 2162. I'll give you that number again 309 696 2162. Terry?
The death toll from the floods in Texas keeps rising. Officials say 110 have died and another 161 remain missing. Search and recovery efforts are continuing. President Trump will fly to Texas Friday to survey the devastation left behind by the waters of the Guadalupe River and to extend his personal condolences. 10 radicals have been arrested by police and federal authorities in Alvarado, Texas, after they started firing at ICE agents and police outside an immigration detention center. An officer was shot in the neck but was treated and released. The 10, who were dressed in black military style clothing, have been charged with attempted murder. Officials said after the shooting they fled into nearby woods to hide, but were caught without difficulty. By a vote of 8-1, the Supreme Court said the Trump administration could continue to carry out mass layoffs in the federal government. A lower court ruling by a Democrat district judge blocked the president's executive order to reduce thousands of unnecessary jobs, many created under the Biden administration. Only Justice Ketanji Jackson disagreed with the majority. A Democrat federal judge has ruled she has more power than Congress. After the Big Beautiful Bill was passed by Congress and signed by the president, Judge Indira Tawani issued a restraining order blocking the law that called for the 1-year defunding of Planned Parenthood monies for abortion. Tawani was appointed to the federal bench by Barack Obama. In local news, Peoria police are seeking a car and its 3 occupants who fired a number of shots in the 500 block of Main Street in downtown Peoria Monday night. The incident took place around 10:30 p.m. Fortunately, no injuries and no damage. And a man was stabbed around 3:30 in the morning in the 700 block of Spalding Avenue after he refused to give money to his attacker. You know what Mom said? There's nothing good happens after midnight.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
The victim went to a local hospital with a non-life-threatening injury. Police are looking for the bad guy. A group of people will hold a march Saturday morning calling for the end of such violence in the city. They'll gather at City Hall at 10 a.m. and march to Neighborhood House at 1015 South Matthew Street. The event is sponsored by Next Level Academies. And those are the headlines, Roger.
All right, thank you kindly. Now, a check of the weather, and the weather this morning is brought to you by our friends at Peoria Pet. You know, losing a pet really affects just about everyone, and
Mhm.
it certainly is not a very pleasant experience, and that's something the caring people at Peoria Pet know that. Peoria Pet Crematory, they're available 24/7 to help you through the grieving process by offering several choices for care and remembrance. Peoria Pet Crematory, their phone number 309-713-1898. Well, we mentioned earlier there were a lot of popcorn showers yesterday, and obviously the people in the agricultural area are delighted because the corn and the beans need more moisture. Today it's very foggy and heavy fog in some areas of central Illinois, so be careful out there. Otherwise, we have a slight chance for rain, and it'll be mostly sunny, and a high of 88. Partly cloudy tonight with a low 68 tomorrow. Sunny, 30% chance for rain, and look for some fog tomorrow morning as well. The high tomorrow, 87. Looking ahead to Friday, partly sunny, 40% chance for showers, and a high of 90. And Saturday, 85 with possible rain. And currently our temperature at 70 degrees. And there you have a look at the news and the weather this morning on Breakfast with Roger and Friends. It is Wednesday,
Roger,
and that means time for our Wednesday morning quiz. Yes, you
we're
have a
going back to
question?
a question we had before about the thing you had on your calendar.
Yes.
Okay. Was he a president?
Yes.
Okay. So a president died in 1850. Hmm.
Well, who is the president?
Let's see.
Was it Harrison?
No. And his first name, we love the first name in the Monroe family.
Zach.
Zach
Zach-
Tyler.
Yeah.
And
Taylor.
Oh, Taylor.
Taylor. Zach.
Canoe and Tyler too.
Tyler, too. Okay.
Yeah.
Exactly right. How long had he been in office when he died? And it was unexpected. He'd been ill, but not.
See the one that walked without a coat in the rain, cold weather.
No, that was me.
No, there was a president that died just a couple of days later.
Well, there was one. I thought that was Harrison. That
Harrison Ford.
Harrison Ford.
I want to say
Oh,
Benjamin Harrison. One of them went so long on his inaugural speech in the rain and the cold and that. And he's
Yeah.
That
that
was
died in a few
Trump.
days.
He's on too long sometimes. At any rate, how many months had he been in office?
Mm,
3 months.
Longer.
Oh, it wasn't
yeah.
a year. I know that.
10,
A little higher.
15,
11.
Oh, you missed it by
16.
yes, 16 months.
Oh,
And he died following a brief illness, according to This Day in History narrative. To this day, historians still debate the exact cause of his death. Did you know that? I didn't know that.
I didn't know
There was
that.
some kind. On July 4th, 1850, Taylor attended a public event where he reportedly ate a large quantity of cherries and
Oh.
drank, get this, iced milk. I didn't know they
Hmm.
iced milk back then. They don't even do it now. But when they do it, it's called a milkshake. And after
Ice cream.
returning to the White House, it is said that the president drank several glasses of water. Well, that's good. Keep things
Yeah.
moving.
Yeah.
Soon after, Taylor began suffering from symptoms including nausea, severe cramping, diarrhea, and dehydration, which eventually led to his death on the evening of July 9th. Many believe the cause of death could have been a cholera and deadly bacteria disease of that era. The bacteria commonly found in contaminated water and were likely present in the liquids
Yeah.
Taylor ingested.
In the ice.
Sound,
Yeah.
However, and look out for it. They don't say but anymore. They say, however, other sources suspect food poisoning
The
or
cherries.
typhoid fever, or claim that combining highly acidic cherries with fresh milk could cause gastroenteritis, which was listed as the official cause of death. I didn't know you could die of gastroenteritis.
Hmm.
I had that once.
Could they dig the bones up and do an autopsy? See if they figured that out by the.
I don't know.
Wow.
Nice.
You want to call Jamie Harwood or Dr. Gene Sidler? Dr. Sidler.
Well, there used to be a show called Bones, and they
Yeah.
would figure out
Be a song.
I don't think you want to
Go there.
dig up the grave of some
a president. Yeah, former president.
Yeah. And there's also a song, isn't it? The dry bone is connected to the knee bone.
Bone.
At any rate,
Them bones.
back
Them
to
bones. Them
our
crazy
usual
bones.
questions, and I
Okay.
think you'll have fun for this. What South Central U.S. state invites the curious to travel from ordinary to Oddville? Apparently,
Oddville?
there are cities in this state with the name Ordinary and Oddville.
Well,
What
like-
state is it?
Like in Illinois, we have the only normal town in Illinois, Normal.
You can travel from Normal to
Bloomington, or to Peoria.
well, no, but you have to have an odd name.
Oh, okay.
So
South
you go
Central.
to Normal to
Okay.
Arkansas?
Arkansas. Incorrect. Gary?
So the name of the state,
Yes, that's the idea.
Hmm.
Kentucky.
That is correct.
Okay.
Okay, what's your answer, Tyrus?
Kentucky.
Okay.
Good job.
All right.
Tyler's got my back.
Yeah.
All right, this next question, I would never come close. What chunky Toronto quintet was saddled with the nickname Fat Canadian House Martins for its similarity to the UK pop band? Does any of that make sense to any of you?
Oh, it's a band from the 60s or 70s.
I'll repeat the question.
Okay.
What chunky Toronto quintet was saddled with the nickname
Quintet.
Fat Canadian House Martins for its similarity, apparently, a musical group, to a United Kingdom pop band?
United Kingdom pop band.
And I'll help you out. It's female.
Twiggy? No.
It's a group. It was a quintet.
5-piece group.
Yeah.
Quintet of girls.
I'll give you one of the names. When you introduce a group of women, what term do you use?
Ladies.
Okay.
Not bare naked ladies.
That's it. Very good. Nice going. I didn't think you'd ever get that. All right.
She's not happy she got it.
I know she isn't, but did you ever see them?
Nope.
Okay.
I have no desire to ever see
I
them either.
would suggest this next question that you will get this one as well. And what cosmetics company rescinded its job offer to Monica Lewinsky once the Clinton sex scandal broke out?
Lancome?
What?
Lancome?
No,
CoverGirl?
no.
Max Factor.
Okay. No. Tyrus? We use ladies' cosmetics
Oh yeah.
all the time.
All the time,
all the
sure.
time.
A very popular company.
Revlon?
Revlon is correct.
That's what I was
There
going
we
to say.
Ah, Tip of my
Yeah,
I remember using
yeah,
it back
yeah,
then.
that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
What sports team is known? This will be for Tyrus. We'll let him.
Okay.
Right. What sports team is known in South Central? I don't know what that means in South Central. And beyond as the Bling Bling Dynasty.
Bling bling.
Mhm.
Sports team.
At one time.
Would this be football or baseball?
You got it. You got it.
Football?
No.
Is it basketball?
Yes.
The Bulls?
No.
Or
No, South
the
Central.
Celtics.
No.
South Central? What's South Central?
I don't know what they
South
mean by South Central.
Is that South Central State or South Central?
Gary, I don't know. I'm just reading what.
So it is NBA.
NBA, yes.
Okay.
Okay.
You've already named 3 teams.
Keep going.
Lakers?
The Lakers is correct.
Yeah. All right.
Let's hear it.
Ding ding.
What iconic Berlin site typically attracts 250,000 revelers on New Year's Eve?
Berlin site?
Yes.
I guess it's not Oktoberfest if it's at New Year's Eve.
Berlin site. What's in Berlin?
A lot of things.
Yeah.
Is it like a stadium?
No.
The Louvre. No.
No, that's
It's
just
in
Paris.
Paris.
Can't be an old building because just about all of Berlin got blown up
Mm-hmm.
in World War II.
This one didn't.
This one didn't?
No.
So it's an older building.
No, I didn't say it was an older building.
Oh. It's a okay.
It's not. It was not an older building. I remember when I was first sent there from Bremerhaven. One of the things that was a landmark from the bombing was a church, and it was still partially there
Yeah.
in 1957. I think, yeah, it was 57 when I arrived, and it has since been demolished, and rightly so.
Hmm.
It was a reminder, but after a while, it became ugly.
Yeah.
Even though it was a religious structure.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's very famous because I believe Reagan spoke from there, and
Berlin Wall?
well,
But it's not
well,
Brandenburg Gate?
yes, Brandenburg Gate.
Yep. There it is.
All right, another sports question: what longtime coach of the Dallas Cowboys was fired in the year 1989?
1989.
Dallas Cowboy fired.
Yes. You can try this.
I'm sitting here
Go ahead.
thinking, but
Yeah. I can tell when she's not going to participate. She leans back in the chair like, okay, guys, get the answer.
It's your turn.
Tom Landry.
Tom Landry is right. Smugly, as if to
She
say,
says, I know the answer, but I'm not going to say it. I don't want to make everybody look bad.
Wow.
oh, she just did. That was very good. All right.
Yeah, I got you on that.
What did the LA standing for Los Angeles City Council vote not to color red, white, and blue for Veterans Day in the year 2001?
Not to color red, white, and blue.
Mm-hmm.
Veterans Day, November the 11th. Bridge?
No,
Was it building?
no.
Well, let's see. L.A.
And it's big.
It's big.
Yes,
Not the ocean.
The Hollywood sign?
that is correct.
Oh yeah. Jeez.
I remember that.
How much does the AAA organization claim your risk of a car crash increases at night? What percent?
70.
Nine.
Incorrect.
Is it a low number?
Is it what?
A low number?
It's probably a higher number at night than it is during the day.
What would you consider a low number?
I don't know.
23.
No.
9.5.
40. No.
Even it off. Don't give me an odd number. In other words, don't say 19% or 73%. Round it off.
60%.
And the answer is
75.
incorrect.
Okay.
75%.
Incorrect. No, round it off like 10, 20, 30.
All right. 80%.
And too high.
Too high. 50.
70.
No, he said 70. You said no.
Oh.
It's 75. I
60.
said 50.
Well, that's nice, but it's wrong.
Okay.
I think you've given everything except the answer.
40%?
40%.
40%.
You know, I think you have some kind of intuitive power. Is your real name Greta Alexander by any chance? That was very good. All right, you won't get this one. I know.
Oh, now that's a challenge.
Jerry won't get this one.
Look at her lean back in that chair.
What dice roll do diehard craps players often call puppy paws?
Puppy paws.
Happy.
Fives.
No, it's
2 5s.
2 6s.
That is correct.
Very good.
Obviously, you played dice games in the Army
And other times too.
and other times.
Oh boy.
Those dice always like me.
All right. How many of the 24 new nations that emerged in the 1990s were in the Americas?
You mean like South America?
Yes.
Let's see. How many? 6.
No.
8.
No. Tyrus?
8. Um,
It's a trick question.
Say it again.
Well, 24.
24.
Go the other,
That would be.
go to the other direction.
42.
No.
None.
Yes. That's 0. All right. How about this question? What singer's addiction to Demerol, Seconal, and Monty Python was chronicled in the biography Careless Love?
Oh, that's a song. Careless Love.
Yep. Written by
Um.
Gary.
Oh shoot.
Male or female?
It's a male. It's a male. Careless Love. I know this. Oh
You know
shoot.
that?
His son became famous for singing these songs.
I think you're headed down the wrong
Okay. Careless.
road, but keep going.
Careless Love. It's a country song. Careless
Well, why
Love.
don't you just throw out some singers' names, popular
Popular countries. Well, it wouldn't be Elvis, that's for sure. But let's see.
Hank Williams.
Hank Williams. What was
Hank
it?
Williams Jr.?
Williams Jr.
Hank Williams Sr. And
I want to go back to what you just said.
it wasn't Elvis.
It was.
Okay.
Yeah. Why did you say it wasn't?
It wasn't.
Well, shoot, I should have got that.
I guess he did sing that song, but it just seems like it was big. Okay.
I don't know why I drew a blank there. Should have got.
Okay, what nation leads Africa in languages with 515? Are you kidding me?
What?
What nation leads Africa in languages with 515?
There's that many tribes, huh?
Holy crap.
Nairobi.
That's a good guess. Now, this is multiple choice, so
Oh.
I'll help you out on this.
Okay.
You have your choice of Ethiopia, Nigeria, or Uganda.
Uganda.
Uganda is wrong.
Nigeria.
2 more.
Nigeria is my other.
Nigeria is correct.
Yay.
Figure should get it.
All right, what what company launched its 1995 search for a
Chicago.
We'll get rid of it. What firm launched its 1995 search for a new leader with the contest, Yo, I want to be a CEO?
Oh,
I want to be a CEO. Okay. Yo. What year?
What company?
You don't have a year?
I said 1995.
95.
Gary.
I didn't hear that. I didn't hear it. I obviously was.
Froyo yogurt.
You what?
Froyo yogurt.
Is that a company?
Yeah.
There used to be a Froyo
Okay.
yogurt, but
No.
that's not it.
That's a well-known firm, well-known company.
What?
Johnson and
I'll help you out
Johnson.
a little bit by telling you they're flaming liberals. You ought to know this, Gary. Big Democrats.
They make ice cream?
Yes.
Ben and Jerry's.
Ben and Jerry's.
Jerry's. Oh.
What sport has players who can be stumped, bowled, or run out?
What sport has stumped, bowled, or rolled out?
What?
Um,
Okay, hold on.
Log rolling.
Whoa. Oh, wait.
It's yes.
I'm
I'm waiting. How long you want me to wait?
Nah, is it, wait, stumped, logged, or rolled out?
No,
Hold
she
on,
said
what'd you
that.
say?
Okay, I'll repeat it again. What sport has players who can be stumped, bowled, or
Bowled.
run out?
Bowled or run
Think
out?
about an insect.
an insect?
Oh,
Cricket is right.
cricket. Gosh dang it.
Gosh dang it, it's not an answer. Finally, our last question. What British airline became the world's first to offer passengers in-seat email in 2001?
Australian.
No.
Concord.
No. It has two words, and one of them is a word of a body of water in the world.
Well, let's see.
Well,
And this is British.
a lot of
Yes.
water.
And the first word has something to do with females.
First word has something to do with females?
Yes.
Hmm.
And that word, the clue has to do with I'm going to say it, not has had sex.
Virgin.
Oh, Virgin Airlines. Yeah.
Virgin what?
Airways.
No, remember I said,
Virgin.
remember my clue?
Virgin.
A body of water.
He's the one that.
Lake?
No, no.
River?
Virgin.
Virgin Lake, no.
Lake, river,
Virgin Ocean.
pond,
Virgin Pacific.
Try another one.
Virgin Atlantic.
Yes.
Atlantic. There you go.
That was very good, Gary. Here's our
I just gotta. If Atlantic didn't work, I was gonna go Indian.
Today's Pet Tip is brought to you by Peoria Pet Crematory of Peoria and Lewiston, providing final care for family pets, large and small, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Their phone number is 713-1898. That's 713-1898. More information is available at peoriapetcrematory.com.
Pet lovers are dedicated to their animals, all species from horses to turtles and, of course, cats and dogs. If you are a pet lover, learn these little-known, somewhat amazing facts about your pet. The cat's whiskers are an amazing feline instrument. In addition to relaying their mood or temperament, whiskers allow cats to navigate in the dark. Those whiskers also help them measure openings so they know they can easily fit through or to find some other entrance. By that I mean if their whiskers, fully fanned, can fit through an opening, then so can the cat's body. One more interesting talent of whiskers is they can help cats control their prey. What happens is, typically, when a cat catches a mouse or other prey, he will keep it under control with his paws. But cats also use their whiskers by moving the whiskers forward to form a type of net in front of its mouth. The sensitivity of the whiskers allows the pet to feel through vibrations which way the prey is attempting to run. So if you're looking for a good mouser in your barn, pick one with nice long whiskers and a thick, dense coat of fur. If you just need a sweet lap cat, then a cat like mine would be great. My little fella is a Siamese in a Maine Coon body. His whiskers are very short and curled, and he only has about 4 whiskers total. But I can say from experience that that has not stopped him from catching a small bird and bringing it into the house the other day. Oh my goodness, feathers were everywhere. I praised him, but I also rescued the little bird and set it free. So now you know all there is to know about whiskers. This whisker of information has been made possible by a grant from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting in partnership with Spot, Saving Pets One at a Time, and KSBR Studios. Produced by Joseph C. McGuire and theme music by Stuardo Glasser.
Today's pet tip has been brought to you by Peoria Pet Crematory of Peoria and Lewiston, providing final care for family pets, large and small, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Their phone number is 713-1898. That's 713-1898. More information is available at peoriapetcrematory.com.
Good morning, everybody. It's 7:02. It's Wednesday, July 9th, and we continue with Breakfast with Roger and Friends on WAGU FM 90.7 in Peoria, Illinois. With the weather, you know, more people are turning to home health care for loved ones, and more people are choosing Spoon River Home Health. Their staff, professional and personal, and have been for over 30 years. Spoon River Home Health, you can reach them at 309-245-0723. Central Illinois received a number of scattered showers yesterday afternoon to the delight of farmers and those of us who have brown grass on their lawn now. Some of the popcorn showers were heavy at times. However, this morning we have fog that we're dealing with, heavy in some areas, particularly in Tazewell County, but throughout central Illinois. Otherwise, we have a slight chance for rain today. Sunny and high of 88, overnight low 68. Tomorrow, it'll be mostly sunny, 30% chance for rain, and look for morning fog tomorrow. The high tomorrow, 87. Friday, partly sunny, 40% chance for afternoon rain, and a high of 90. Saturday, 85 with possible showers, and right now we're at 71 and dealing with fog in the Peoria area. Now our lead story, here's Terry.
The death toll from the floods in Texas keeps rising. Officials say 110 have died and another 161 remain missing. Search and recovery efforts are continuing. President Trump will fly to Texas Friday to survey the devastation left behind by the waters of the Guadalupe River and to extend his personal condolences.
10 radicals have been arrested by police and federal authorities in Alvarado, Texas, after they started firing at ICE agents and police outside an immigration detention center. An officer shot in the neck but was treated and released. The 10, dressed in black military-style clothing, have been charged with attempted murder. Officials said after the shooting they fled into nearby woods to hide, but they were caught without too much trouble.
By a vote of 8-1, the Supreme Court said the Trump administration could continue to carry out mass layoffs in the federal government. A lower court ruling by a Democrat district judge blocked the president's executive order to reduce thousands of unnecessary jobs, many created under the Biden administration. Only Justice Ketanji Jackson disagreed with the majority.
A Democrat federal judge has ruled she has more power than Congress. After the big, beautiful bill passed by Congress and signed by the president, Judge Indira Tawani issued a restraining order blocking the law that called for the 1-year defunding of Planned Parenthood monies for abortion. Nothing in the Constitution, by the way, allows the judge to issue such a decision. That's expected to be quickly overturned. Tawani was appointed to the federal bench by Barack Obama.
In local news, Peoria police are seeking a car and its 3 occupants who fired a number of shots in the 500 block of Main Street in downtown Peoria Monday night. The incident took place around 10:30 p.m. Fortunately, no injuries and no damage.
And a man was stabbed around 3:30 in the morning in the 700 block of Spalding Avenue after he refused to give money to his attacker. The victim went to a local hospital with non-life-threatening injury. Police are looking for the bad guy.
A group of people will hold a march Saturday morning calling for the end of such violence in the city. They'll gather at City Hall at 10 a.m. and march to Neighborhood House at 1015 South Matthew Street. The event is sponsored by Next Level Academy.
Let's hope they don't get robbed on the way to, I believe, Neighborhood House. At any rate, that's a look at the stories we're following. How about sports? Presented by Advanced Medical Transport of Central Illinois. For 30 years, AMT has been an important source for emergency medical care with a wonderful staff of paramedics and emergency medical technicians working together with police and firefighters for your good health. Great people. Advanced Medical Transport, saving lives is what they do 24/7. Tyrus has sports. Good morning, Tyrus.
Good morning, Roger. Thank you. Let's start in the MLB and some scores around the league. The Cubs lost to the Twins 8-1. The Cubs' only run came on a pinch hit home run from Justin Turner in the 9th inning. They play again tonight at 6:40 p.m. The St. Louis Cardinals win against the Nationals 4-2. They got 2 homers in this game, a 2-run homer from Brendan Donovan to tie the game, then a solo homer later from Lars Nootbaar, and an Alec Burleson chipped in with an RBI double. The Cards would have had one more run, but James Wood of the Nationals robbed Mason Wynn of a home run. They go for the series win tonight at 6:45 p.m. The Yankees beat the Mariners 10-3, as the Yankees hit 3 homers in this one. Cal Raleigh of the Mariners hit his 36th homer of the season, staying 2 ahead of Aaron Judge. The Brewers beat the Dodgers 3-1. Jacob Mezorowski had another great start. 6 innings, 4 hits, 1 earned run, 1 walk, and 12 strikeouts. Rookie's coming on pretty nice. White Sox lose 6-1 to the Blue Jays. Reds lose to the Marlins 12-2. Pirates lose to the Royals 4-3. Padres shut out the Diamondbacks 1-0. Phillies lose to the Giants 4-3. As the Giants went on a walk-off inside the park 3-run homer from catcher Patrick Bailey. And there's another inside the park homer that happened. It was Lawrence Butler of the Athletics. He hit 2 homers in this one as they beat the Braves 10-1. It was the first Athletics inside the park leadoff homer in 82 years. In NBA news, it's Summer League time for the NBA. The Bulls will start Friday versus the Raptors at 7 p.m. Other news, the Atlanta Hawks signed sharpshooter guard Luke Kennard. And MVP and NBA champ Thunder guard Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is NBA 2K26 cover athlete.
Ooh, what does that mean exactly?
It's the video game, so it's like the cover.
A video game?
Yeah, it's the cover of the case, so he'll be featured on that.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah.
People still buy that stuff.
Oh yeah. Most people.
Baseball cards making a comeback.
I saw them at Dick's Sporting Goods yesterday. There's all kinds of.
Well, I know someone that wanted to buy baseball cards for her son, and
Yep.
so we went to a card shop not far from here over in Glen.
Oh really?
Yes, and they had a big assortment, and she was asking questions that I wouldn't have asked.
Really?
Because There was a time when I have a very small collection of my brother's baseball
Oh, I
cards.
still have them. I still have a bunch of
You do?
my cards. Yeah.
I remember a long time ago, I got conned into loaning some guy some money. And he said, for security, I'll give you my baseball card collection. I said,
Yeah.
oh, okay. That's not a bad deal.
Yeah.
And so I gave him the money. He gave me the card collection. I took it home and later on went through it. And there wasn't a single card there worth anything. They were everybody, people that, fortunately, I got my money back and he got his cards back.
Yeah.
And he did ask me, I don't know where he got the card collection. He said, are there any in there that are worth anything? And I said, no.
No, I saw
You
some
know,
of
if you had
the.
a Ted Williams in there,
Oh yeah.
maybe
Babe Ruth.
and
Babe
well,
Ruth.
Babe Ruth.
Luger.
Actually, Phil Salzer has an
Yes.
autographed Babe Ruth baseball
Really?
that, you know, he would be very wise to put that up for sale
Yeah.
because, you know, who's he going to give it to when he passes?
Right.
Me? Oh.
Yeah, you would.
Not to those kids in
would
the
like to
sandlot that will
Yeah.
go outside and,
But, you
play with
know,
it.
and he's got proof that is a
Oh, yeah.
legitimate Babe Ruth. That you've seen the ball, haven't you,
Yes.
Gary? What a deal that
Oh,
is.
that would be awesome
And
to
he
have.
he got an
Oh, it's not a
autograph
ball. It's a
picture.
picture.
That's right.
Yeah.
On his mother's on the back of his mother's photo.
Yeah. His dad got it.
Yes,
Wow.
Yes.
that's right. It's not a baseball. You're right.
Yeah.
And at any rate, that is worth something, in my opinion.
Yeah, 100%.
Anyway, sorry for interrupting your.
Oh no, you're good.
sketch. Your award-winning sketch this morning.
Submitted.
American.
Thank you.
Did you call me today?
No,
No, he doesn't. You know.
I'm just letting it grow out.
Yeah, I like it. One day he's going to come in and look like Wolfman Jack, but
Yeah.
right now, very handsome.
Thank you.
Any of the girls at St. Francis hitting on you?
Well, maybe. I think so.
Okay.
I
I
think
bet
so.
a couple of cougars have already had on you, haven't they?
Oh yeah, you know.
Okay,
they
listen.
do that.
I've opened the Pandora's box. Continue.
Yeah, they definitely do. But you know, everybody likes to keep it a little coy. You know.
Yeah.
Some NHL news. Isaac Howard, who won the 2025 Huggy Baker Memorial Award, because it's
Would you take care of him, please? He's getting down harder.
And the NCAA ice hockey was traded to the Edmonton Oilers by the Tampa Bay Lightning on Tuesday for Sam O'Reilly. He's just getting a new opportunity with the Oilers. So maybe he'll be up this season coming up. And the WNBA news, Caitlin Clark is back from her injury and will play today versus the Golden State Valkyries at 11 a.m. The Fever are sitting at 9-9, needing to go on a run to make these playoffs. They recently won the in-season WNBA Cup. The NBA also does something like that
Oh,
too.
yes, I'm too excited.
Yeah.
Those referees are getting noticed by professional ball players as to
Oh, they
being
should.
derogatory or being just mean to Caitlin Clark.
Oh yeah. Well, they let her.
shouldn't be doing
They
that.
let her get beat up for
Yes, they
sure.
do.
Oh my
Those bad
gosh.
people,
That's
the
right.
officials, because they're all jealous. She's making big bucks, and it comes down to money. And they don't pay
Always.
officials top dollar in the WNBA because it's been a struggling
League for sure.
for years.
There's not very many teams.
And she
But-
comes along, and she's got all these testimonials that she gets paid for.
Endorsements and all that
Exactly
stuff.
right. And these officials that change oil at Big Rays when they aren't officiating are jealous as all get out. So, I hope she gets hurt.
Yeah.
And they ought to, you can get referees in basketball from UFS.
There was that one where
Tiger Jacks.
Yeah.
there's that one where she got poked in the eye,
Yes.
and then I mean, she obviously kind of shoved the girl off of her, and then the whole scrum happened, and then she got shoved to the floor after that, and then it was a whole thing.
You know,
And she got a technical out of that.
She got a technical out of defending herself.
Well, that just
That
goes
makes
to what clowns
Isn't-
they are that
It-
officiate.
And one of her teammates defended her now.
Yeah, Sophie Cunningham,
Yeah, she
who is
knocked one of them right to the floor.
Oh yeah, that was awesome.
Maybe I'll stop watching it instead of hockey. You know, you watch
Yeah.
hockey for the fights. So let's watch for it then.
WNBA.
Well, anything else in the world of sports?
No.
Here you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Tyrus.
Hey, Roger.
Yes, hour number 2 of Breakfast with Roger and Friends. Gary Hall, you're front and center.
Okay.
You know, you could be a safety cone today. You got on that bright orange, and there's a lot of people working on highways. Just get one of those flags, and
Sure.
let's say stop and go, and you'll make probably $30, $35
Help out with the
an hour.
fog.
Maybe I get out there with the flags for the
Help out with this fog out here, you know.
that big hole they got on Knoxville.
Yeah.
What I was going to say was in Peoria Heights, Bruce Brown is going to have an event Sunday. It starts at 1 o'clock.
He's going out of business, isn't he?
Yeah, well,
Is it closed now?
it's closed, but it's a last ditch goodbye. He's going to have
What?
last ditch goodbye.
Oh, last ditch.
Who-
Well, that's why you've
hoorah.
got orange on. You're going to be watching over the ditch.
Well, he's got to
You're going to lay in
he
there.
wants to get rid of all the liquor that's in the thing, and he's going to.
Can you sell open liquor?
No, he's not selling it. He's giving it away.
No,
Well,
Yeah.
can you give it away?
Yes, you
Well,
can give it
apparently
away.
you can't.
He's doing it.
Now, wait a minute. Let's back up here now. You get a half a bottle of Jack Daniels.
Uh-huh.
Okay, Gary, here you are. So you go over, you get in your car, and suddenly you're breaking the law.
Oh boy.
But not if you got if you're in a tavern, in a restaurant that still has a liquor license, you can give it away,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. But did you hear my question? If you take an open bottle, open meaning it's been open even though it's capped, and put it in your car and drive away, you're breaking the law, are you not? You're
Yes,
used to
you
that
are.
bar.
oh yeah, but 30 years ago, I don't know if they've changed things or not.
No,
I,
they haven't changed it.
I know you couldn't send an open drink. I mean, you couldn't send them a to-go cup
Yeah.
with
No,
People-
but I don't think you can have in your car. Was a question for Kevin Sullivan will be here.
he
Pretty
will
soon.
know.
How about a
But
cooler
I
full
don't think
cooler
you
full of
can.
beers, and you're drinking the beers as you're going along, taking them out the
Well,
cooler.
I know, I
that's wrong.
Yeah.
I do know.
Even Roger Monroe knows you can't do that, Gary.
Okay, let's
Yeah.
say that you're at a restaurant and you buy a bottle of wine, okay, and you don't finish the whole bottle.
Correct.
They can,
Put it back for you.
yeah, but they put it in a bag and they seal it with one of those air sealer things,
Oh,
So-
okay.
so that
Yeah.
you can take it with you, but it is sealed. So if you were to be stopped, you could say,
Are
well,
you
well, no,
talking about a Ziploc bag?
No. It's
no, the ones that they advertise on TV it'd be like a Ziploc bag, but they use the heat thing so that it is truly
I see.
sealed.
So that is sealed.
right.
A seal and crop.
That's a different group. That's
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
How about if you take
That I can see. But if you're driving down the road and you have in the back seat a bottle of Jack Daniels that is half
that has
full,
been open
or
and
half
it's not
open,
sealed. Yes, you can
that's
get
a
into trouble.
violation of law.
Yes, that is
So
true.
what if it's in the trunk?
well, they
Oh,
won't
that
see it
don't-
in the trunk.
If they open the trunk and see it.
If
I'll say
How they get in there? I don't know.
yeah,
sir.
That's a good
Well,
question because I know, like, even if you've got a permit for concealed carry, you still, if you have your gun with you in the front of the car, the ammo has to be in the trunk. You can't have them
oh, I didn't know that.
Right.
together.
That's true.
So you could get arrested with a half empty bottle of Jack Daniels for a violation of concealed carry.
Yeah.
Well, that is interesting. Anyway, finish up on your story about Bruce Brown. So
Oh, yeah.
I hope I discourage you from taking a bottle of the
Yeah.
Jack Daniels?
fire water. We'll
Not
call it
Ben
fire
Brown.
water.
Fire water,
Cubs.
yeah. Well, anyway, the American Legion Post number 2 will be there as the final 21 gun salute
Really?
Yeah,
That's unusual. I've heard of funerals and parades, but never the closing of a restaurant. But
right.
he is a veteran.
Yes, he's a
Matter of
Marine.
fact, I think he may have taken that picture.
He did.
I'm not
He's
sure.
a Marine,
In our studio. Yes, he is.
and he took photos while he was being a Marine.
Yeah. Was that in Korea? It looks like it's a photo of in our studio of Korea.
I think it is Korea.
Because
Could be on the back of it.
interestingly, there's only one guy with a helmet on. The others have fatigue caps.
Yeah.
Fascinating picture, though. I think
Yeah.
that's it. So when is this event, and is the public invited to attend?
Sure. He said
When is the event?
it's Sunday.
This Sunday.
Starts at 1 o'clock, and it'll be over with at say 3 or 4 o'clock, or whatever they run out of booze
Okay.
and food.
And it's Sunday at 1 o'clock. Oh, really? Is
Yeah.
it going to be an indoor, outdoor?
It's going to be
both?
at his
Restaurant.
his restaurant. You know, it's over there by the police station.
Yeah,
Okay.
paparazzis.
Paparazzi.
Paparazzis. That's been around for a long time.
Popping them rocks.
Yeah. Right.
For 10 points, and I don't have the answer. When was the big race between he and Dick Carver for mayor? What year?
78.
1978.
74?
1970? I don't know. I don't have the answer. But I do know this, that he won the primary. He actually beat Dick Carver in the primary and then lost in the general election.
Oh, really?
Race for mayor, Dick
Okay.
Carver and
Here's
Bruce Brown.
one way that we answered the questions by going to
Google.
Google it, for that matter. We will tell you that it is foggy out there and will continue to be heavy fog until around 9 o'clock, when the fog is expected to lift. And thank the Lord for the great popcorn showers we had in the area yesterday. We are currently at 71 degrees. Yes, there.
Okay, there's an article and it says on July 13th, they're hosting one last party from 1 o'clock to 4 p.m. with an open bar, bagpipes, and a rifle salute by American Post Legion 2.
Okay, when are you going to fire your weapons?
At the end of the ceremony.
Oh, at 4
So,
o'clock?
4 o'clock.
Yeah.
At the end of this event, or
At the end of the event. Yeah.
okay,
Just like at a funeral.
okay,
And,
putting it to the rest.
Yes. Yeah.
Now, did you say that an open bar? I understand. Is the
Open
the
bar means
food-
it's free.
yeah, no open bar?
Yeah, open bar means he'll be giving the drinks away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
That's how
That's
he'll
right.
use up
Yep.
the liquor.
Well, what do they call it when it's not open?
A cash bar.
Cash bar.
Yeah.
That makes sense, doesn't it?
And not Cash Patel, but cash,
Cash-
money in
cash
your
bar.
wallet.
And so this is going to be a 21 gun salute.
That's right.
Green Day.
Yeah.
21 guns.
Yeah. Let me see here. I suggested we play Reveille, but he wasn't up.
No, we'll play this message.
Taps.
I'm the thread that's already inside the house. In the closet, under the bed, in the car. But I don't want your money or your TV. I can't be scared away or negotiated with. I'm patient and quiet. I don't sleep. You can't call the cops on me. You can't even see me. I'm the threat of family fire. And as long as your guns aren't stored securely, I'll be there. Protect your family. Secure all your guns. Learn how to make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. That's endfamilyfire.org. A public service announcement brought to you by Brady and the Ad Council.
I'm looking for. I'm going to try to make it. I won't. I would like to get there when you and the other members line up for the 21 gun salute.
Right.
For that, how do you guys and gal? Because one of them is a female.
Got
Isn't
a
it?
couple. Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you get selected? Do you volunteer for it? And do you when you practice? I don't know whether you practice. Do you actually go to a gun range?
Yeah,
You do?
yeah. There's a gun range at.
Even though you're shooting blanks.
Well, yeah, we fire off at the gun range. Uh, sometimes we have to get ahead on the shells, because we give everybody a blue bag full of 21 shells
A bag full. I don't think
of shells.
when you were
Yeah.
in Vietnam, they didn't give you a bag full, didn't they? Give you
No,
a clip or two, a bag full.
but
Here in the Ziploc bag are your 16 shells. Are they? Are you firing M1s? Is that what they are?
yes, M1s.
They don't even use those anymore, do they?
That's why we get to fire them.
Yeah. You know the exact weight of an M1? That's what I carried in basic training. And later on, I got a carbine, but they didn't let me have it very often.
Let me see. I'd have to Google that, but I'm thinking like 13 pounds.
I don't know. Did you in basic training? Did they have you in a room that was at night and dark, and ask you to take it apart and put it back together in the dark?
No.
We did that. I wound up with 2 rifles. No, I'm just kidding. We actually did that, and it was interesting. It shows you how important it is to know how to do that in the dark.
Yeah. They were. I bet wasn't there a guy that got the Medal of Honor like 3 or 4 times? He could take a machine gun apart and put it back together again in the dark.
Yeah, I think it was called Machine Gun Kelly.
No. This was a legitimate guy. He was. He fell in love with the machine gun and it was instructor and everything. And when he went to the Pacific, he would take sometimes you got to take those things apart and put them back together again
Yeah.
to get them to work.
What was the heaviest weapon you were trained on?
Heaviest weapon I was trained on?
Yes. For me, it was a bazooka.
I
Did
never
you
got.
ever fire a bazooka?
No.
You know, in basic training, they showed us how important it was not to stand behind a bazooka.
Oh, yes.
They put a box with heavy wood behind it, and they fired a shell. It was a dud. It was not a live one for
But it
obvious
still
reasons.
blew back,
And it
right?
still and they blew that box, and it was heavy wood. I don't know, half-inch wood around into so many little pieces that
Burned
you
right
couldn't
through it.
recognize it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, let's. I think Kevin's probably going to call in because usually by now he is here. So let's
Yep.
get into the news. Bring you up to date on what's happening in the world and what's happening locally as well on WHU. News at the bottom of the hour. Brought to you by Bob Manning. You know Bob. We've talked about him for a long time now. Super nice guy, Senior Vice President, Financial Advisor. And of course, he's with the Grandview Capital Group at Morgan Stanley right here in Peoria. That's a big national firm. For all your investment needs, call Bob. You can reach Bob Manning at 309 671 4653. Morgan Stanley Smith Barney, LLC, member SIPC. And we'll start with the weather and tell you that it is foggy out there and will be for much of the early morning. Otherwise, today it'll be mostly sunny, a high of 88, an overnight low of 68. And tomorrow, sunny, 30% chance for rain, and morning fog again tomorrow, a high of 87. Friday, partly sunny, 40% chance for afternoon rain. We're up to 90 degrees on Friday, and Saturday, it'll be 85 possible showers. And right now, we have fog in the area and 71 degrees. Here's Terry.
The death toll from the floods in Texas keeps rising. Officials say 110 have died and another 161 remain missing. Search and recovery efforts are continuing. President Trump will fly to Texas Friday to survey the devastation left behind by the waters of the Guadalupe River and to extend his personal condolences. 10 radicals have been arrested by police and federal authorities in Alvarado, Texas, after they started firing at ICE agents and police outside an immigration detention center. An officer was shot in the neck but was treated and released. The 10, who were dressed in black military-style clothing, have been charged with attempted murder. Officials said after the shooting they fled into nearby woods to hide, but were caught without difficulty. By a vote of 8-1, the Supreme Court said the Trump administration could continue to carry out mass layoffs in the federal government. A lower court ruling by a Democrat district judge blocked the president's executive order to reduce thousands of unnecessary jobs, many created under the Biden administration. Only Justice Ketanji Jackson disagreed with the majority. A Democrat federal judge has ruled she has more power than Congress. After the Big Beautiful Bill was passed by Congress and signed by the president, Judge Indira Talwani issued a restraining order blocking the law that called for the 1-year defunding of Planned Parenthood monies for abortion. Talwani was appointed to the federal bench by Barack Obama. In local news, Prairie police are seeking a car and its 3 occupants who fired a number of shots in the 500 block of Main Street in downtown Peoria Monday night. The incident took place around 10:30 p.m. Fortunately, no injuries and no damage. A man was stabbed around 3:30 in the morning in the 700 block of Spalding Avenue after he refused to give money to his attacker. The victim went to a local hospital with a non-life-threatening injury. Police are looking for the bad guy. A group of people will hold a march Saturday morning calling for the end of such violence in the city. They'll gather at City Hall at 10 a.m. and march to Neighborhood House at 1015 South Matthew Street. The event is sponsored by Next Level Academies. And those are the headlines, Roger.
71 degrees our temperature, and it's a Wednesday morning. And once again, we welcome to our program Defense Attorney Kevin Sullivan. Give us an update on the fog. Is it?
It's
Okay.
the car said 72 degrees. The fog was not bad. It's getting off the ground. It's a little higher. The treetops are above. Didn't have any issues from my house in Dunlap to here.
Okay, that's good to hear. Let's talk about some legal decisions. One of the stories we're covering this morning is about this federal district judge Indira Talwani saying that the law that was passed by Congress and signed by the President of the United States, she said, no, you can't defund Planned Parenthood. What do you know? I know this is kind of a late breaking story.
Well, I think it's as we sit here today, the 9th of July, it's wrong on so many levels. It's wrong substantively, it's wrong procedurally. If we talk about procedurally, we just went through this issue within a matter of 2 weeks ago when the Supreme Court said no more of these national or what they call universal injunctions. And it's exactly what that is. I mean, now substantively, if you look at the hierarchy of the laws in this country, you've got the highest form is what the Constitution says. The next is what this is a statutory or a statute law, which is what this is, enacted by and passed by both houses of the Congress, signed by the president. So it is the law of the land. And then the last one would be executive orders, and then you can go down into regulations and stuff like that below that. But, in this situation, I don't know any bill in modern times that's been subject to more scrutiny than this big, beautiful bill that was just passed by Congress last week in these marathon all-night ridiculous sessions. I don't think there's been any more commentary about a bill in modern times, and then it was signed into law by the president in a ceremony at the White House on July 4th. So I'm not aware of any constitutional protection that Planned Parenthood has under the laws of our country. It says you cannot defund them under these circumstances. And I find that when the government is funding certain organizations, and I'm just going to mention 2 because I think they were on the chopping block. This doesn't express my opinion on whether it's right or wrong, but in terms of being legal, Planned Parenthood, I think, was one of the organizations, and I think the Corporation for Public Broadcasting was the other, where they basically were going to defund or reduce the funding to PBS and NPR by maybe $1 billion, if my memory's correct. I would say $1 million sounds huge to me, but pretty soon we're talking real money. But so they're going to do that. Those to me are grants that are handed out at the discretion of the government. And it amazes me when you see or hear about the number of grants that are provided. I think grant's a fancy word for donation, or what have you. But I'm always amazed when you hear about grants, whether they're at the federal or the state level. And the city of Peoria may say, well, we've got grant money that came in. It was 1.5 million that's going to reimburse us for buying Expo Gardens. You wonder really in these governmental budgets how much money is really earmarked for grants under the circumstances, and what if they took the grants away? Now, in this situation, as I understand it, if they take this let's say $1 billion, and maybe I'm wrong on that number, but I'm just going to stick with it because it's a round number, to the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. Okay, that's the government can certainly do that. Whether that's right or wrong is a question for public opinion. But now it's going to force PBS and NPR and other places. They're really going to have to kick up their fundraising, or they're probably not going to exist, or find an alternative source, or are they going to have to change their bylaws and start selling advertising? I don't know. That's a decision for the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, not for me. But I'm amazed at how, and I honestly only heard the highlights of this order that was issued by this judge. I've not read her decision, but I don't know how she can. The only way to have that statute essentially invalidated would be if it violates the Constitution, or if it clearly contradicts existing law, and then it would have to be reconciled. And I can't see that provision of this 900-page bill violating necessarily another statute, because it's dealing with the times we're in. And I think you have people that are trying to run the government like you would a business, and that is, if we don't have it, how are we going to pay for it? If we're running our household, or we're running our ABC business, and we don't have the money, how are we going to pay the bills? And
I ask myself about that every day about our program.
Yes.
How was I paid?
I know, so I haven't seen an increase in pay.
Maybe the money was that the judge is talking about was already given to him in a grant previous to this law.
Well, I still think the law supersedes the grant,
Okay.
and a question now becomes, is that an enforceable contract?
Yeah.
And and I don't know the answer on that. I would think I think any contract would be subject to, well, first of all, if the money was already given to, let's say, Planned Parenthood, or already given to the
NPR.
NPR, et cetera, then I don't know if the government's got a way to bring that back. I don't think they can. But to me, if they haven't given them the money, then that contract is what they call an executory contract, which means it's incomplete, or it's not been fulfilled yet. And I still think the law is going to usurp or take precedence over whatever agreement they have between the government and the organization.
I've often wondered, like in this particular case, if the government ignores her ruling on the grounds that it's unconstitutional, she can't usurp a law passed by Congress, and they do exactly as you kind of raised, Gary. Said, no, you're not going to get any money. And she decides, okay, the government's in contempt. What then?
Well, that would be
It
like,
would take some.
Yeah.
She'd be a little brazen. I'm just
and-
getting into trouble.
well,
So I'm raising the question:
Yeah.
who's going to win that? Pardon the expression, pissing contest.
Well, obviously the government is because
Bigger hose.
well, who
Thank you, Gary.
no pun intended. Obviously the government is because who are you going to pick out to punish for contempt?
You're going to
You
Trump? Or
Are you going
Gary
to Trump, or are you going
Kevin
to,
Sullivan?
or the Speaker of the House, or your Thune, or who you're going to, and obviously any contempt finding, even in general, would be would be stayed or would be not enforced pending further review. But could the government ignore it? Absolutely, they could. But that again would be ill-advised because, as we've been talking about, with regard to the, let's say, for example, these universal injunctions, um, as they said in the Supreme Court said in their 6-3 opinion, the way you resolve that is you take it up through the appellate channels. And obviously the government would not want to, at this point, they are confident that injunction, that decision's not going to be upheld. Take it up through the process, do it the right way. They're confident that will happen, and I'm sure it will take a matter of a couple weeks, if not sooner, when a appellate court, one of the courts of appeals, says, time out, your order is invalid, we're not going to enforce it right now. Then if they want to appeal it further to the Supreme Court, I don't think this one will get to the Supreme Court because it's so clear that the order is invalid that I think an appellate court decision will stand in this situation.
All right, switching gears, let's talk about the killer, Brian Kohlberger, who has pleaded guilty and apparently to avoid the death penalty. Why does it take, and I don't know when the sentencing will take place, why does it take so long from when he pleads guilty to when the judge sentences him? Now, I know in local cases I can understand, but the guy has pleaded guilty. Case closed.
Well, I think in this situation, although I haven't heard any media sites indicate this, I think the sentencing, by the way, is coming up in the latter part of July. I don't know why I want to say the 23rd.
I thought it was August.
Okay, maybe you're right.
But maybe they put.
But I think this is my own opinion. And well, let me come back to why I think it's the way it is. We in the criminal justice system will have two kinds of sentencing, basically, two kinds of sentencings. One is if I, as a defense attorney, on behalf of my client, reach a complete agreement as to the outcome of the case. In other words, the state says, I want your client to enter a plea of guilty, and instead of your client getting up to 10 years, which is the maximum, we're going to offer your client 18 months in custody, and it'll be 18 months, and et cetera, and I talk about it to my client. I have a sit down with the client. I explain the pro and con. The client says, I think I'll take that. It's a lot less risky than going to trial or letting the judge make a decision without an agreement. So if we do it that way, it's called a negotiated plea. The day we present the plea is normally the day the client would go into custody and start serving the sentence. And that's true whether it involves prison, jail, or simply some sort of probationary sentence. Now, let's say I don't have an agreement with the prosecution on a sentence or on an outcome. That means number one, we could go to trial. And if my client's found not guilty, obviously we're done. If my client's found guilty, then in any felony case, most every state law requires there be a pre-sentence investigation report of some type that's prepared. And that's a bio on the defendant's history, family, education, employment, criminal history, anything else unique about and that takes weeks to prepare because typically the probation departments have to reach out possibly to verify certain things. So there's some time built in to that. Now, and so in federal court, which this is not, but matter of fact, I'll give you an exact example that is, I can't get any more current than this. As I leave here in a few minutes, I have to be in court in Springfield at 9:30. I have a client of mine who is going to enter a plea of guilty today to a violation of what they call the Mann Act. It's also called the Travel Act. And it involved running a number of brothels. I'm going to say,
Are you
so,
representing Diddy Cohn?
not did he? No.
No, I just want to make sure that we clear that.
So what's going to happen is in federal court in the central part of the country, at least in the central district, they don't, they will not, I've never at least had one, a complete plea agreement. You can, my clients can enter a plea of guilty. You can get certain concessions, certain partial agreements, but they always leave it up to the judge. And it may even be that in the past, where the state, where the government prosecutor and I have agreed on what the ultimate outcome will be, we make those recommendations to a judge, and the judge can either adopt or not, accept or reject those recommendations. It seems silly when we could otherwise have an agreement and say, Judge, here's our agreement, rubber stamp it. State court is much different. State court, if we agree on something, we present it to the judge. If the judge accepts it, we're done. So in federal court, once there's a plea of guilty, there's about 100 to 120-day waiting period before the sentencing hearing. And that again is to prepare the pre-sentence report. It allows everybody to go through these what they call guideline calculations, and then you have a sentencing hearing, which is oftentimes as involved as some trials because it's really an involved process. Now, in this particular case today that I'm going to be handling at 9:30, the it's believed, based upon my review of the law, my review of the sentencing guidelines, that when we do get to the sentencing hearing, and let's say that might be September or October, my client by that time will have served the time that she otherwise would be sentenced to, and that's called time served, and perhaps would then be released. So she would have done all of her time up front instead of being sentenced. But if she would have wanted to go to trial, the trial may not have occurred for another year. And then the trial, if it doesn't turn out the way she would want, in that situation, she could get up to the maximum sentence. And I mean, I'm not going to go into the nuances of federal court, but this is a way to maybe get her released sooner. And frankly, the evidence supports the plea at this point in time. Okay, let's go to Kohberger in this situation. Why not sentence him immediately? Because you've got an agreement as to the sentence. I believe the reason being is because the victims in this case have rights. The victims' families have what we call, and we've talked about this, the Victims' Bill of Rights. They've got a right to know what's going on. They got a right to be updated on the progress of the case. They get a right to comment to the prosecutor on proposed outcomes, things like that, and to testify at sentencing. They can give victim impact statements. I believe the delay involved here is to allow them to prepare and be prepared. I should say prepare and deliver their victim impact statements at a sentencing hearing. And since the fully agreed plea, life in prison, no appeal, no post-conviction, et cetera, came about fairly quickly, they wouldn't have been prepared to do that adequately under the circumstances. So I believe it's given them that right to come into court. Now, their victim impact statements likely are not going to make any difference. In other words, does the judge going to reject the plea agreement? I don't think so, because there's only one type of sentence that's going to be harsher than this, and that's the death penalty. And the judge cannot, in this situation, he cannot say, I don't accept this plea. I'm going to turn around. I'm going to sentence you to the chair or the firing squad in Idaho. You can't do that in this situation. That my client is given my client Kohberger would be given an opportunity if he chose, if the death penalty was on the table, put back on the table, he could have a trial just on that issue. Does he get the death penalty or not? And so it's given everybody a chance that who's directly involved in this, who is essentially a victim or a family member of one of the decedents, to come in and say whatever they want to say about the situation. And as I predicted last week, I think it was, these people are going to come in and not just lambaste the defendant. A couple of them are going to come in and really go after the prosecutor as well, which I don't necessarily agree with.
Yeah, that's interesting. If we took a poll here, it'd be interesting to see I've thought a lot about it, and I think a lot of people have. Um, the four victims' families, I think, are divided. Two are accepting; they don't want to go through the emotion of learning the specific details about how their son, in one case, or daughters in the three other cases, died, and hear the details and relive and experience the emotion. And this way, that's all avoided. Others, want to uh, get him through testimony, et cetera, and so forth. How do you personally feel? Do you think that this was? I think how the prosecution handled it could have been done much better through better communication. But overall, do you think this was a wise decision by prosecutors?
I think there's two aspects to it, from what I understand. I agree with what the prosecutor did in terms of the offer, because look at the advantages to the prosecution at this point in time. No trial, limited expenses, and that would be borne by the people of the state of Idaho. Trials are never a sure thing. You get some juror that comes in and is qualified during jury selection and looks like the perfect juror, who's a rogue juror and is going to screw up the works, could end up not voting guilty for some strange reason. Want to go down in flames, or at least have his 15 minutes of Andy Warhol fame, and and then write a book about the process. And that happens, and there's nothing that anybody can do to stop that. And of course, you've got certain people that after even before, they may not say much, that may be just dead set against the death penalty for personal, moral, religious reasons, and you may not get the death penalty. Typically, you need a unanimous jury on that issue as well. So, no certain trials are not certain things. And I think the prosecutor was correct. I think, there's no turning back on this plea. There's no, the judge was very thorough in going through, making sure that the defendant was knowingly entered his plea. He knew what he was facing. He knew what the possibilities were. He voluntarily admitted he did it. It was very clear. He enunciated it, articulated it while in court, and there's no coming back from this plea. In other words, when when the sentencing goes down, he'll be going to probably a maximum security prison, and he's a fairly young man. He's going to spend the rest of his days there until he is no longer. And there's no doubts. There's no if, ands, or buts. There's no indecisiveness. It is what it is. A trial is never a sure thing. And I've in my time of trying cases, I've tried cases that I didn't want to try. I advised my clients against trying. I said, "There's no way we're going to win this," and the jury comes back not guilty. And I've had cases I thought were a layup. I don't know why the prosecutor's prosecuting this case. This shouldn't take long, and the jury comes back guilty. That's devastating. And I mean,
When you started drinking,
I should have started before I tried the case. But so again, the bad thing is, when you try a case you think's a loser and you get a not guilty verdict, the law of averages is going to come around and you're going to get a case that you think's a winner, and it's not going to be. That's just the way it goes. So but I think where some people have an issue with the prosecutor is this came about fairly quickly, and I don't think that they felt that they were provided with enough information or enough warning about that this was going to go down. Ultimately, it's the prosecutor's decision to enter into this agreement. But he probably, from what I've heard, probably should have consulted with the families a little bit more thoroughly and earlier under the circumstances. But you also get this agreement, and you want to get this thing under lock and key real quick. You don't want anybody wavering or changing their mind. And so, hey, if Kohberger's in the mood, let's get this done and done now. I think these people hopefully will as time goes on, I think they will hopefully turn around and appreciate that this was the right thing. And if the communication wasn't good, it wasn't necessarily a question of neglect or disrespect by the prosecutor in the situation.
How do you? I know we talked about it a little bit. I think last week, maybe 2 weeks ago. How do you think he'll be treated by other prisoners, or will he be pretty much isolated?
I think he'll be isolated under the circumstances. I think they will probably keep him in some sort of solitary environment, which sometimes is in a cell by yourself for up to 23 hours a day. You know, no daylight. You get your meals put through a slot in the door. Maybe get out 1 hour a day to for purposes of recreation, or and then if that was the case, nobody else would be recreating at the same time. So I don't think there's going to be a lot of exposure. But you kill 4 young people, you're not going to be warmly received by your fellow inmates in that situation. But that the guards and the administration at these facilities are trained, and it's designed to protect everybody who, under the law, deserves protection, no matter what. And I also think that people probably they're going to be serving a life sentence like he is. That's should in most situations, unless you're somewhat inhumane or unhuman, will certainly shorten your mortality rate, because you sit there 23 hours a day and not doing anything. That's not a good situation physically or mentally.
I know you're a student of body language because you, as part of your talent as an attorney, you read jurors individually, I'm sure. So, and I know you've watched portions of the trial at some point of Brian Kohlberger. Based on what you've observed and looking at him, did you form any kind of an opinion of what kind of personality, what kind of a person, beyond the obvious that he's a nutcase?
Yes, I thought he came across as with his head in the clouds, arrogant, above the law, smarter than most people,
Thanks,
a-
Liz.
and this whole thing was beneath him in some respects. He was a criminal justice. I think he was studying criminal justice, but I don't know if he had his master's or he was studying for a master's. But I think this was somewhat of an experiment for him. And really, realistically speaking, the way it looked like, because he had everything figured out, there was a lot of forethought that went into this. He drove by that house a number of times. I think switched license plates, went back to the state of Washington, happened to be there when I think waiting for the first responders to come to see what happens. So I think it was he was trying to figure out truly how to get away with murder is I think what his goal was. And having said that, I don't think he would have been given a lot of well, that's the wrong thing. I was going to say sympathy in court, which certainly he wouldn't. But the jurors would not have had any warm thought. They would not have. I don't think they would have sat back and said, maybe this guy didn't do it. Maybe he's a nice guy. I know you can't help your looks, but you can sometimes help the way you carry yourself. I always tell the clients, I did this as of Monday. I was in a trial this past Monday in Peoria. And I said to my client, the minute you hit the front door of the courthouse, you don't know if the guy you're going through security with is a fellow juror or a juror, prospective juror, who it is. You're on camera. You are on stage, and you got to carry yourself at all times. Be stoic, smile, don't frown, don't be cordial, but don't be talkative. And same thing in the courtroom. It's not always what you say, sometimes it's how you say it.
Interesting what you just said about smiling. It really bothered me to see a clip of one of his attorneys, a female blonde attorney, and she smiled at Kohlberger apparently during an exchange of some conversation. And I thought to myself, if I were a member of the family and I saw the attorney smile at the person who just is under trial on the charge of murdering my daughter or my son, I would want to go over and kick her in the knees.
Well, I gotta believe, and I didn't see that particular segment.
Well, I did.
Okay, but having having been part of these cases for a long time, I always have to interact with the client during the course of trial,
Of course.
and and we're not especially when it's a heavy subject matter, we're not yucking it up over there. Now, as we talk, maybe we do smile, maybe we do agree to something, or maybe we have an expression on our face that, that maybe even is involuntary. But, no, there's no laughing, there's no chuckling,
Yeah.
there's no making light of anything, there's no finger pointing and things like that.
Well, as always, very educational and informative. Appreciate it as
Well, I
defense attorney.
I was going to
Kevin
leave you
Sullivan.
with
A good story.
no, I said
There you go.
about the paparazzi event this Sunday.
Okay, all
Oh
right.
yeah. You gotta be-
No, I can't be.
Okay.
And so I think one of the problems with the premise is, as I recall, they don't serve liquor at paparazzi, it's just beer and wine.
Okay.
So that
Interesting.
eliminates the possibility of carrying the booze in the car and getting in trouble. However, if the seal is broken in a situation like
Okay.
this, you can transport it. It's got to be out of the reach of the driver. So if you are in a standard vehicle, coupe or sedan, you normally put it in the trunk so you can't access it.
Okay.
Or if you're in an SUV, put it in the back end and secure it. But they do now with wine, and the purpose they do allow you that if buy a bottle of wine, you don't finish it, you don't feel like finishing it, they'll wrap it up for you, and there'll be some evidence. I've seen it where they've taped the top of it, as a matter of fact, if they don't have a heat sealing device, and you transport it the same way. Get it out of the passenger, the reach of the driver or the passenger. Typically, put it in the back of the car, whether it's the back end of the SUV, back or the trunk. But the rationale for that law is, and I think it's very good, and I believe it was even suggested by a court that the legislature entertain this, is people are going to spend some money on a bottle of wine, and they're going to feel that they have to finish it to justify the expense of what they paid.
Sure.
So they're going to take that extra glass or two of wine before they go home. Now they can take it home, not be perhaps over the limit, and get home safe, a lot safer than otherwise trying to get home under the radar, having finished off that expensive.
So are you saying that if I have a bottle of Mogan David, well, let's make it a little stronger, and I put it in a bag and put it on the back seat, that's legal?
Back seat is questionable. It could go either way, I
The
think.
reason I say back seat because the guy could take a swig out of it and
Throw it
put
back
it
there.
in the bag and throw it in the back seat, and now I'm legal.
Absolutely. And you're better off getting it one more level behind the back seat,
Okay.
you know,
In the trunk.
a
Yeah.
trunk
Yes,
or
what I was
or what have you, and make sure that there's no evidence that you consumed that in the car, such as spillage or a cup or anything like that. And the case I had this past Monday was a DUI case, and the prosecution made a big deal because my client had a case of beer in the trunk. And she said, "There's evidence of impairment." I argued to the jury, "There's evidence of non-consumption. He could have drank that. Instead, he was taking it home for another day, and he put it in the trunk." And I
Right.
got the cop to say, "That's what we like to see. Put it in the trunk."
Yeah. I'll drink to that.
Okay, we all
Right.
can.
Thanks, Kevin.
Okay.
Drive careful to
Thank you very
Springfield.
much.
Okay, you bet. We'll continue breakfast with Roger and Friends, WAZU FM 90.7 in Peoria, Illinois. Kevin Sullivan, as usual, on a Wednesday morning. Thank you, Kevin.
You bet.
Good morning, everybody. It is Wednesday, the 9th of July, and you're having breakfast with Roger and friends. And we start with a check of the weather brought to you by Steve Sink. Of course, you know he's affiliated with PHX Affiliates. It's a great organization. He's been a business broker for over 20 years. He helps people buy businesses. He helps them sell businesses. If you have some information that you would like to receive about your business or possibly buying a business, Steve is the go-to guy to see. And you can reach Steve Sink at 309-696-8508. Well, we had some pop-up scattered showers yesterday, and we've had some heavy fog this morning, according to our attorney who's on the lookout for us. He indicated that the fog was lifting. Otherwise, today, sunny, 88 tonight, 68 tomorrow, sunny, a 30% chance for rain, and morning fog tomorrow, the high 87. It'll be 90 on Friday with a chance for showers, and Saturday 85 with possible showers in the forecast. And currently our temperature 33 degrees with our lead story. Here's Terry.
You mean 73 degrees?
Yes.
You said
73.
sounded like you said 33. I'm like 33. Wow.
I will say again, 73.
73.
Sounds like 33.
All right. The death toll from the floods in Texas keeps rising. Officials say 110 have died and another 161 remain missing. Search and recovery efforts are continuing. President Trump will fly to Texas Friday to survey the devastation left behind by the waters of the Guadalupe River and to extend his personal condolences.
10 radicals have been arrested by police and federal authorities in Alvarado, Texas, after they started shooting at ICE agents and police outside an immigration detention center. An officer did take a bullet to the neck, but apparently it was a grazing bullet. He was treated and released. The 10, dressed in black military-style clothing, have been charged with attempted murder, and they fled in nearby woods, but police and authorities had no trouble arresting them.
By a vote of 8-1, the Supreme Court said the Trump administration could continue to carry out mass layoffs in the federal government. A lower court ruling by a Democrat district judge blocked the president's executive order to reduce thousands of unnecessary jobs, many created under the Biden administration. Only Justice Ketanji Jackson disagreed with the majority.
And a federal judge has ruled she has more power than Congress, apparently, because after the big, beautiful bill passed by members of the House and Senate and signed by the president, Judge Indira Tawani issued a restraining order blocking the passage of the law that called for the one-year defunding of Planned Parenthood money for abortions. Nothing in the Constitution, by the way, allows a judge to do that. Tawani was appointed to the federal bench by former President Barack Obama.
In local news, Peoria police are seeking a car and its 3 occupants who fired a number of shots in the 500 block of Main Street in downtown Peoria Monday night. The incident took place around 10:30 p.m. Fortunately, no injuries and no damage.
And in other news, a man was stabbed around 3:30 in the morning in the 700 block of Spalding Avenue after he refused to give money to his attacker. The victim went to a local hospital with a non-life-threatening injury. Police are looking for the bad guy.
A group of people will hold a march Saturday morning calling for the end of such violence in the city. They'll gather at City Hall at 10 a.m. and march to Neighborhood House at 1015 South Matthew Street. The event is sponsored by Next Level Academies.
And that's a look at some of the stories we're following this morning. And how about turning over to the sports desk? And we have Tyrus with the latest sports news. Good morning, Tyrus.
Let's start in the MLB and some scores around the league. The Cubs lost to the Twins 8-1 last night. The Cubs' only run came on a pinch hit home run from Justin Turner in the 9th inning. They play again tonight at 6:40 p.m. The Cardinals win against the Nationals 4-2. They got two homers in this game. A two-run home run from Brendan Donovan to tie the game, then a solo homer from Lars Nootbaar, and Alec Burleson chipped in with an RBI double. The Cards would have had one more run, but James Wood of the Nationals robbed Mason Wynn of a home run. They go for the series win tonight at 6:45 p.m. Yankees beat the Mariners 10-3. As the Yankees hit 3 homers in this one, Cal Raleigh of the Mariners hit his 36th homer of the season, staying 2 ahead of Aaron Judge. The Yankees. The Brewers beat the Dodgers 3-1. Jacob Misiorowski had another great start. 6 innings, 4 hits, 1 earned runs, and 1 walk and 12 strikeouts for the Brewers. White Sox lose 6-1 to the Blue Jays. The Reds lose to the Marlins 12-2. Pirates lose to the Royals 4-3. Padres shut out the Diamondbacks 1-0. Phillies lose to the Giants 4-3. Giants win this one on a walk-off 3-run inside the park homer from catcher Patrick Bailey. I think it was the second one of the year homer. And Lawrence Butler of the Athletics hit 2 homers in this one in their game as they beat the Braves 10-1. First Athletics inside the park leadoff homer in 82 years was one of his home runs. In NBA news, it's Summer League time for the NBA. The Bulls start Friday versus the Raptors, 7 p.m. Atlanta Hawks sign sharpshooter guard Luke Kennard. And MVP and NBA champ Thunder guard Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is NBA 2K26 cover athlete. In the NHL news, Isaac Howard, who won the 2025 Hobey Baker Memorial Award as the top men's player in NCAA ice hockey, was traded to the Edmonton Oilers by the Tampa Bay Lightning on Tuesday for Sam O'Reilly. Getting a new opportunity there. And yeah, I think they'll probably have him up next year at some point. And WNBA news, Caitlin Clark is back from her injury and will play today versus the Golden State Valkyries at 11 a.m. The Fever are sitting at 9-9 on the season, needing to go on a run. They also recently won the in-season WNBA Cup.
Have you ever in person gone to a WNBA game?
No, I've
How
thought
about
about
you,
it
Gary?
recently.
No. I wouldn't mind going. I remember when. How about you, Terry? I know you're a big fan. I've seen it on television. You know, when they first
Yeah, I've seen it on TV.
you saw more crowds at a sale at UFS on a Saturday morning. But
Yeah.
because of Caitlin Clark, there's newfound interest. But they
Yeah.
still only
There's big crowd in Indiana.
they're lucky if they make 100,000. And you know, they say equity. Well, you know, if you don't have people putting, as Pete Vanaka called it, butts in the seats, you don't have the revenue to pay
Yeah.
pay them more money.
Well, they used to not even fly the players.
What they do with roller
Well, and I mean,
Private
like,
sells the games.
no, it was like commercial, like with everybody else. So they'd be
Yeah.
sitting on the plane with like families and stuff like that. But like since last year or whatever,
Now they're flying around.
yeah, now they get their own planes now. So
Wow.
they used to not even. So it's like they used to just fly commercial, and now they fly private. So
I went to some ICC games where the girls played, and then the guys played afterwards.
Oh yeah. Oh, okay. Over in East Peoria. Yeah.
Yeah,
Those are poorly attended.
Washington.
too,
Yeah,
aren't they?
it was about the same amount of attendance for the girls it was
As
because they knew the
for
boys
the
were going to be playing next.
Well, for one thing, the girls' teams are usually in their league were among the best in the country under
Uh-huh.
Coach Lorraine Ramsey.
Oh yeah,
Obviously, for that matter. Well, at any rate, welcome to hour number 3 of Breakfast with Roger and Friends.
Yep.
You know, I mentioned that we had a kind of what do you call eating at 3 o'clock in the afternoon? You call it dinner? You call it lunch?
A late
Right.
lunch.
A late lunch.
Yeah.
Okay. Any rate, at the Mackinac Family Diner in Mackinac, highly recommended. Food, homemade, wonderful Lebanese family run it. Very reasonable. That's a big thing.
Mhm.
But the quality of the food, outstanding. We had potato soup and had an outstanding hamburger, and it was delicious. She had a cheeseburger. Everything was wonderful. The dessert out of this world. But what I wanted to bring up, our downtown area pales in comparison
yeah.
to what it once was.
Yeah.
But I've noticed smaller communities, their downtowns are, if you call it downtown,
Are growing. Yeah.
well, they're alive and well. You
Yeah.
go to Washington and on the square,
Oh yeah.
and there's stores around it that are open, or neat stores,
Uh-huh.
restaurants, and so forth. You in Mackinac, it's really a nice little downtown retail area. You go to Tremont, and and by the way, in Mackinac they have an IGA store, a grocery store, which is neat. I don't know whether they have a pharmacy, but they probably there has to be a pharmacy somewhere in Mackinac. Otherwise, they would have to go to Pekin or Morton to get a prescription filled. So I'm going to guess they probably do, but I don't know that for sure. Tremont's a different story. They have a great grocery store, but it's very small. It's like a neighborhood grocery store where they don't have a lot of items, and they're way higher than Walmart or Kroger, but have a great meat department. You can't get better meat than what they have at Beecham's in Tremont.
Yeah.
And I spent some time in downtown Pekin. It's not what it used to be, but it's still
Yeah.
somewhat of a viable downtown. They have a great restaurant there as well, or two.
Don't you think the malls
Yeah,
in Peoria took
yeah.
away from downtown?
Yeah.
And what's that? Great Grand Prairie. They've got a circus going on.
Oh, you're kidding.
Oh yeah, the shoot.
I was on my way to the Illinois Eye
I'll
Center, and
get
I
us.
saw
Hold
that
on.
had a big old circus there.
That have a Ferris wheel. Is that
Yeah,
what-
it's right by
Uh,
Dick's out there.
Yeah, the
what's going
sporting
on?
place?
What is that? What is that?
I'll
it's
get
a
it.
it's a big old tent with I couldn't see inside it because it was covered up, but
Mhm.
and I didn't see any Ferris wheel, but I saw
Some kind of a
yeah,
it might
like,
be.
like it's called a circus.
Some stores when they have a big sale, they go all out. So do you think it was
Could
Dick's
be
that was having a
maybe it's
big event?
a big thing for Grand Prairie. Draw people in and sell them a few things.
Did you find anything, Tyrus?
Hold on, Google's being weird.
Google's being weird.
I'll
Okay.
get the name. I know what the name is. I
It's
just
not Ringling Brothers though.
no.
Oh, we've seen that.
So I know this one is it's like there's no animals. It's just all performance.
Oh yeah.
fun
The
is what it is.
acrobatics.
Yeah, acrobatics and all that.
Really?
Okay.
That's going on out of shops in Grand Prairie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it looks very interesting. I'll just get the name
But
here.
you don't have that down. Remember when they used to have the circus come to? Don't they still have the circus come to the Civic Center?
I haven't seen the circus there in years.
Yeah.
Are you
Oh,
saying-
do-
Used to bring it
do
on the crane
Portugal.
and everything. And,
Oh yeah, long before the Civic Center. Yeah.
yeah.
Is it?
Do Portugal Circus?
Portugal.
Yeah, it's been around for a long time. I
Yeah.
was looking.
They
at
don't
it.
have any
Do
animals.
they have animals? They
No, it's
have elephants.
they don't do that. They've never had.
Elephants.
What about dogs and
yeah.
cats?
Well, you know how people feel about animals and the
Well, being
circus and all
mistreated.
that. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so this circus is a non-animal, so it's all performance and
So they actually have that going on at
oh yeah,
shops at Grand Prairie.
So they make people dance around, huh?
Yeah.
Jump
And,
ropes.
I remember when the circus would come to town, and they used elephants to lift things.
Yeah.
yeah.
As
Set
they would
things up,
set up the tents. It's just fascinating. That's one of my favorite animals when it comes to size. I love the elephants. My favorite are the penguins when it comes to the little fellas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're always dressed up for the event, aren't they?
Hey, since we're Talking about animals, let's get our pet tip of the day.
Yeah.
Today's
of the
pet
day.
tip is brought to you by Peoria Pet Crematory of Peoria and Lewiston, providing final care for family pets, large and small, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Their phone number is 713-1898. That's 713-1898. More information is available at peoriapetcrematory.com.
Pet lovers are dedicated to their animals, all species from horses to turtles, and of course, cats and dogs. If you are a pet lover, learn these little known, somewhat amazing facts about your pet. The cat's whiskers are an amazing feline instrument. In addition to relaying their mood or temperament, whiskers allow cats to navigate in the dark. Those whiskers also help them measure openings so they know they can easily fit through or to find some other entrance. By that I mean if their whiskers, fully fanned, can fit through an opening, then so can the cat's body. One more interesting talent of whiskers is they can help cats control their prey. What happens is, typically, when a cat catches a mouse or other prey, he will keep it under control with his paws. But cats also use their whiskers by moving the whiskers forward to form a type of net in front of its mouth. The sensitivity of the whiskers allows the pet to feel through vibrations which way the prey is attempting to run. So if you're looking for a good mouser in your barn, pick one with nice long whiskers and a thick, dense coat of fur. If you just need a sweet lap cat, then a cat like mine would be great. My little fella is a Siamese in a Maine Coon body. His whiskers are very short and curled, and he only has about 4 whiskers total. But I can say from experience that that has not stopped him from catching a small bird and bringing it into the house the other day. Oh my goodness, feathers were everywhere. I praised him, but I also rescued the little bird and set it free. So now you know all there is to know about whiskers. This whisker of information has been made possible by a grant from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting in partnership with Spot, Saving Pets One at a Time, and KSBR Studios. Produced by Joseph C. McGuire and theme music by Stuardo Glasser.
Today's pet tip has been brought to you by Peoria Pet Crematory of Peoria and Lewiston, providing final care for family pets, large and small, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Their phone number is 713-1898. That's 713-1898. More information is available at peoriapetcrematory.com.
Hey, thank you, Lulin. You know, I was thinking, Terry, why is it, and I think this is pretty much the law of the land. Women traditionally like cats and men like dogs. And now I know that there are exceptions, but isn't it basically true? Have you ever owned a dog?
No.
Okay. But you have how many cats?
Right now or in my lifetime?
Well, right now, I guess we'll go with that.
Okay, I'm
I'm
down.
sure you're double digit when it is
Yes,
like
I'm
that.
down to 3 right now.
Yeah. So the question I have for you, Your Honor, may I ask this question? Yes, okay. Is why did you gravitate to cats versus to me, who has always had a dog?
They're quieter. When I was growing up, we had neighborhood dogs that were always barking.
Oh, I know that drives me up a wall.
And of course, back then, dogs were allowed to run loose. There was always visits from the dogs were left in our yard. And as a little girl,
Yeah.
I
Did you put up a sign that said "No poop in my yard"?
No.
No, you never did.
And when I was 5 years old, I had a horrible experience as I fell in one. It was on the hillside, and I slipped and fell.
Ooh. Ooh.
Yeah, I know exactly what dog it was from. It was a Cocker Spaniel lived across the street.
What did you do? So leave an autograph?
Yep, sure does.
Well, the poodles were little ones, and this was anyway.
Anyway, yeah.
That's why they call them poodles.
And my poor mom, of course, had to clean me up. Like came in the house. It was just.
Oh wow.
And that's pretty much what did me in on having dogs.
Yeah.
Cats
So,
are much neater, quieter.
yeah, as much as I love dogs, and I've had dogs, and a variety of dogs, and sometimes the best dogs were the Heinz 57 variety. As growing up, I had a little dog, Spot, and he was a white dog with a big brown spot on his back. So you can see how original and creative we were when it came to having dogs. But when we lived in Wardcliff, we had a number of different dogs. Just wonderful pets. Well, we had a neighbor in the back, kind of catty corner, and I don't know why they had a dog. They had a couple of kids and a daughter, and I guess maybe that was it. But the dog was always outside on a leash with a water dish, and there were times they brought the dog in, but not enough times. That dog barked constantly. I mean, constantly. And I finally called the Humane Society and said, "You need to go to such and such address because their dog is out constantly, even in hot weather, and it barks all the time. And to me, that's not how you take care of a dog." And to their credit, they made a visit. They talked to him, and the dog they start putting the dog inside. I felt a little guilty about calling, but I rationalized it by saying, "I'm calling on behalf of the dog
Oh,
as
absolutely.
much as for myself."
That's not a pet.
Sanity.
That's not a pet when you tie him
No.
up to a leash outside all the time. That's cruel to the animal. So no, you did the right thing.
Yeah.
Betty has a dog, doesn't she?
Betty has a dog. Yes,
Yeah. Uh,
it's her dog.
yeah, it's her dog. But now, does the dog, and by the way, dogs, and I'm sure cats are the same way, they know who their friends are.
Mm-hmm.
Does Betty's dog spends more time hanging around Betty than around Gary?
Yeah, it's Betty's dog. But but
Yeah.
in
And
reference to that, when it comes to sometimes if she's not feeling good, I feed it. I let it
Okay.
outside.
All right.
And when the thunder hit yesterday,
Oh yeah, yeah.
thunder and everything, he looked at me and I says, it's not those stupid blankety blanks with the firecrackers. It's just thunder. Don't worry about it. So he kind of, okay. So he just sat next to me, um,
Really?
looking up at
As
me like,
as
okay,
you were the dog's protector.
yeah.
Yeah.
Have you gotten another dog yet after you lost your other dog?
It's kind of hard to
No.
replace him,
No.
isn't it?
But Julie's got one, so that one comes over sometimes.
Oh, okay.
It's
Don't you miss having a dog though?
yeah, but we still have the other one.
Okay.
We still have
Oh,
Mako.
that's right. I forgot that.
Yeah, we still have
Um,
Mako. So
Friend of mine who's on our honor guard, his dog got real sick, and his wife had passed away, and it was just him and the dog. So he stayed with the dog. I mean, he had the dog was blind and everything. And I
yeah.
told him, I says, well, why don't you just let the dog go? I mean, he says, I just can't do it. He says, that dog is like a
Family member.
Oh
family
yeah.
member. Yeah.
Yeah, they always are.
Yeah.
But I think it finally, it did pass away. And now, because of all the care he did for the dog, he's he needs to go see the doctor because he's got some physical problems too because of not taking care of himself. So to me, after you get to be a certain age,
Be
you
careful.
Right.
well, you got to understand. Like after that one dog I had, Gizmo, and when he died while I was having a heart operation, and everything. I didn't want another dog because there's a responsibility.
No,
Okay.
you're right.
They're like
Yeah.
kids.
Yeah, you're right.
In
You're
fact,
exactly right.
kids grow up and move away, but the dog,
Stays
You
put.
gotta
cat,
hang around.
That's right.
Well, he
They
knows
stay.
who's got put the water out and the food dish in first. So
Yep.
we've had on this pet tip of the day, the woman indicating when you put food out for the dog, you put a certain amount, and when that's gone, that's it until it's time again. I have never done that. When the food dish is empty, I fill it up and I leave it up to the dog to determine whether it's 10, 2, and 4 or Dr. Pepper time or whatever the case may be. But she was saying that you put the food out and that's it. When it's gone, you wait until I don't know what she said after that, but there are certain times a dog will eat, and that's when you're supposed to put the food dish out. What
I,
did you do?
I wait for the dog to tell me it's time to eat.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
what they do now, my dog plays games with me, psychological games. The dog will go and sit by the food dish. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Well, I thought, oh, he's hungry. I'll go look, and there's food in the dish. And I said, "What are you doing here? What's on your mind anyway?"
He
And
wants to see if he can get a better offer from what
well,
you're eating.
that might be. And then I check the water dish, which is next to it, and there's water there. Sometimes, I need to get after myself about that. But and then other things that he'll do, he'll go to the door. Okay, that usually means I want to go outside. I've got to do my business. So I'll put him on a leash and open the door, and he goes outside. I close the door, and within 5 seconds, he's at the door looking at me from the outside. I said, well, why were you standing here, pal? So we've had some great conversation, one-way conversation about what are you doing? You go to certain, and he just turns his head like, I fooled you. I fooled you.
Oh yeah, he just wants some attention
Or,
from
or
me.
Now are cats like that?
Oh yeah, mine have gotten to the point because I've been giving them treats. I
every
mix.
time they go out. Yeah.
Oh, they don't go out.
Oh.
But I have to give one medicine, and so I've been mixing her medicine in the food. Well, I can't just give it to her because otherwise Pip would be over there. So
Say,
he's
yeah,
getting it.
yeah.
So it's become now a routine that they get their treat. Well, they like it so much. As soon as I go out in the kitchen now, they're both out there and not just waiting. It's meowing. It's
Oh,
meow.
really?
Oh
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
they're demanding. They want this. That commercial for those delectables on TV where the cat comes up and walks across the computer laptop.
Yeah,
That,
yeah.
that's not that far fetched. They're about that bad.
No kidding.
No kidding.
Yeah.
And then in the morning we have this routine. Maxie comes and she sits right outside my closet. And it's like, oh. And so we have this game. I open it a little bit and I try to slip in because otherwise she's in there so fast. If she goes in the corner, I don't know what she does. She sits back there in the corner. And then I get out, turn all the lights off. And I have a note now because I've forgotten them. I come home sometimes 3, 4 hours later and like,
They bring the note to you?
no,
Oh,
but I look like she's all, oh crap, she's still in the closet. But now she's gotten a routine, maybe 5 minutes. So I go and I finish something else, and I come back, open the door, and she strolls out. But
That is fun.
it is, but that's become a routine now. She has to go in that closet for some reason.
She got to have some me time.
Yeah.
Just has to get away from things for a
Must
little while.
get away from Pip. That's part of it because he does pick on her.
That's the thing.
Could be.
If you get them on a routine, either the cat or the dog, they know.
They do know.
They do know what time it is when it's.
And they
Yeah,
know.
they do.
Yeah, when you come home, they know by what time you're going to come home.
Have you ever had this experience? I remember one day, last week it was, I couldn't find my dog. And I thought, and if I open the door slightly and I'm not watching, that dog will shoot out
Uh-huh.
quicker than. And I thought, did the dog? And the one of the things I do when I pull into the garage, I leave the garage door up, okay, and because the engine is hot, and
Right.
Yeah.
so, at any rate, sometimes I'll open that door that leads to the kitchen, and he's right there waiting for me. And sometimes when I'm going to take the garbage out to the dumpster in the garage, I'll open the door, and if I'm not careful, that dog will shoot out. And so here's my question. So it used to be I would chase the dog. Come on, come on. And sometimes go 4 blocks away trying to get my damn dog back. And and being unsuccessful. So I go
Yeah.
home, and eventually he comes back. And interestingly, most of the time he does not come to the garage door. He will go to the patio door. Lately, last couple of times when he's escaped from isolation, um, within 2 minutes, maybe 3, he's back. Do you reward him or do you give him hell?
Reward him.
I'd reward him. Yeah.
Okay. I do both.
Yeah. Right.
I lecture him and then said, okay, you're puppy dog.
Bingo escapes. We just show him the leash and he runs up to.
Yeah.
Oh, we going someplace?
Well,
Oh, really?
But see, that's the routine. Yeah.
Yeah, he knows if that leash means he's going to go someplace.
yeah, my
Sometimes he gets lied to though. Back in the house.
my mom had a dog that would take her and her siblings to the bus stop.
Your dog would?
Well, it was her dog when she was little that would take all them to the bus stop, and then would be waiting right there when they get off the bus to come back home, and then walk them back up to the house.
All right,
Chomper.
let's do our final news.
Yeah.
Our news this morning brought to you by Spoon River Home Health, bridging the gap in healthcare. They've been doing it since 1993, and they've been caring for people of all ages in their homes where recovery and healing faster and more comfortable. Learn more from the folks at Spoon River at 309-245-0723.
The death toll from the floods in Texas keeps rising. Officials say 110 have died and another 161 remain missing. Search and recovery efforts are continuing. President Trump will fly to Texas Friday to survey the devastation left behind by the waters of the Guadalupe River and to extend his personal condolences. 10 radicals have been arrested by police and federal authorities in Alvarado, Texas, after they started firing at ICE agents and police outside an immigration detention center. An officer was shot in the neck, but was treated and released. The 10, who were dressed in black military-style clothing, have been charged with attempted murder. Officials said after the shooting they fled into nearby woods, but they were caught without difficulty. By a vote of 8-1, the Supreme Court said the Trump administration could continue to carry out mass layoffs in the federal government. A lower court ruling by a Democrat district judge blocked the president's executive order to reduce thousands of unnecessary jobs, many created under the Biden administration. Only Justice Ketanji Jackson disagreed with the majority. A Democrat federal judge has ruled she has more power than Congress. After the Big Beautiful Bill was passed by Congress and signed by the president, Judge Indira Talwani issued a restraining order blocking the law that called for the 1-year defunding of Planned Parenthood monies for abortion. Talwani was appointed to the federal bench by Barack Obama. In local news, Prairie police are seeking a car and its 3 occupants who fired a number of shots in the 500 block of Main Street in downtown Peoria Monday night. The incident took place around 10:30 p.m. Fortunately, no injuries and no damage. And a man was stabbed around 3:30 in the morning in the 700 block of Spalding Avenue after he refused to give money to his attacker. The victim went to a local hospital with a non-life-threatening injury. Police are looking for the bad guy. A group of people will hold a march Saturday morning calling for the end of such violence in the city. They'll gather at City Hall at 10 a.m. and march to Neighborhood House at 1015 South Matthew Street. The event is sponsored by Next Level Academies. And those are the headlines, Roger.
It sounds like a good idea. We've had marches and parades and everything else. The only problem with that is the people you want to reach don't go to those. And in all probability, they're sleeping through it for that matter. Anyway, how about the weather? A check of the weather this morning brought to you by your hometown community banks, Division of Morton Community Bank. They're located at 46 different places, towns, villages in central Illinois available to serve you. Look for the clock tower and you'll know they have time for you. Member FDIC. Well, we've had some fog gradually lifting in the area. We're going to have some more tomorrow morning, so be aware of that. Otherwise, today, mostly sunny, high of 88 and overnight low 68. Tomorrow, sunny, 30% chance for rain and high of 87. Friday will be partly sunny and a 40% chance for afternoon rain on Friday. The high on Friday, 90 degrees. Saturday, 85, possible showers. Currently, we are at 73 degrees. And we were talking about downtown of small towns and how viable they are and what's going on. Terry, what do you think Peoria could do to bring people back to downtown Peoria?
I think it's a lost cause, to tell the truth. I mean, crime's got to be taken care of.
Yeah, we just had a case, and of course, who's walking around on Spalding Avenue for crying out loud at 3:30 in the
Granted,
morning?
but you never know. Maybe he's got a shift job. Maybe he's coming home from somewhere, or maybe he has to walk to go up to the hospital. Maybe he's got an early shift.
Or maybe he's
Mm,
homeless.
Maybe.
yeah.
But when people don't feel safe to go places, that's a real hindrance.
Yeah, and
And
we ended up a drive-by shooting in downtown Peoria as well.
yeah, so
Some
you know,
kids in the car. Yeah.
and for me, parking downtown is a big drawback. When when the Civic Center is having 4 events going on,
Oh yeah, you can't find a
you can't
parking
find a
spot.
place to park. And so that means you have to park out farther, which means you're walking, which sets yourself up. It's just, to me, it's the safety and the parking issues. And
Yeah.
until those are resolved, I don't see a big comeback for downtown.
I have a solution or a possible solution. If they brought to downtown Peoria a big casino.
Yeah.
You don't think it would work?
Still needs parking.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. Well, they're going to have to they're going to have to do something about that Chase building that is closed. And I don't know. I know we have a zoning department and public works department and this department and that department. Somehow, some way, and I know the city's been leaning on the owners of the building, but they had a water leak and the water, I guess, cascaded all over the place, causing all. But structurally, I'm going to assume the building is in good shape structurally, externally, but maybe internally is where they have, and it's really a major disappointment because it's one of the big buildings in downtown
It was
Peoria,
a neat building,
and it had a great history. WIRL studios were in that building.
and if I recall, didn't it have a parking deck
Yes.
attached to it?
Yeah, yeah. You go into it off of Madison.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know what kind of condition that is. I know Methodist had a beautiful parking deck right in front of the hospital, but it's been demolished. I
Yep.
mean, at a certain point, parking decks show their age, like many structures,
Yep.
and I don't know what you can do to rebuild concrete other than demolish it and start all over again.
Which
Yep.
is not cheap by any means.
Nope.
Is the parking deck still Carson's? Block and Cool had their own parking deck.
Yeah,
Is
and
it-
Bergner's did too. Later on,
later on.
when it became more one technology
Yeah, the
building.
tech side.
Because I don't think as a matter of fact, there wasn't a parking deck when Bergner's was alive and well.
No, I wasn't. I remember circling the block many times trying to find a parking place to go in and go up to the art department.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, they did not have a nice parking deck.
When you look back, and this is not a question for Tyrus, but well, before I get to looking back, we were talking while you were in your other office about downtown. Small towns still have many communities have a viable downtown area. Does Princeville have somewhat of a viable downtown? I know you've got that coffee shop that we stopped at one time. Is it still open?
Yeah. They got a couple of things over
Yeah, how
there
about the
in
hardware store?
town square. Yeah.
It's still
Yep.
okay.
That one's still up. There's a fabrication place a little bit.
And also, there was at one time a medical office that was
Yeah.
supported by Methodist Hospital.
There still
Is
is.
that still there?
Yeah, that's
How
still
about
there.
Joan of Arc? Have they departed, replaced by a different company now? You know, they had Joan of Arc.
That
so
one,
migratory workers used to pick beans, particularly green beans, for Joan of Arc canning factory. You
yeah,
don't know about
maybe,
that?
maybe. I don't know about that one specifically, but there's a couple of banks around there. There's that ice cream shop, the pharmacy.
The ice cream shop. But what is it? Dairy or is it real ice cream? Is it
It's a-
custard or
Oh
like
yeah,
Dairy Queen?
that's ice cream. Yep.
Okay. What's the name of that?
Shoot, they've changed it so many
Do you live
times.
in Princeville or
Yeah.
outside? Okay. It was just
I live in there, but like they've changed that one so many times. There's a boutique shop. There's Adeline boutique shop run by my buddy's sister, little sister.
Mhm.
So she's got her own little boutique shop there in town. And
Do you guys have a grocery store? Or at least a little
no, not
store
anymore.
that
There,
real
you,
convenient?
Oh yeah. To me, that determines.
not anymore.
Yeah.
But there's that DG. So some people get some stuff there.
Well,
Or you gotta go to
or
Peoria.
Casey's.
Casey's has stuff.
Well, yeah,
bread,
you get
and-
emergencies like so
Yeah.
pop,
Yeah.
So there's
milk,
DG
stuff, yeah.
and Casey's, but like there's no grocery store anymore. It's a failed grocery store, I'll say. Because
And you know why it failed is because the people of Princeville didn't support it. You know, it's just like there is a grocery store, like I said, in Tremont, and they're known for its meat. They've got a little deli that is very good as well.
yeah,
But when you stray to other areas, I mean, bananas were sky high. I mean, not even close to what you can get them at Kroger or whatever. But I understand why it has to be high because they don't sell many of it, and so they get it on the basis of value or quality, not quality, well, quality, but quantity for that matter. So I do feel sorry for like the people of Princeville when you want to maybe cook hamburgers on the grill. You have to. Where do you go from Princeville? Like where did you go? Say to your brother. Your brother lives with you.
yeah,
Yeah. You say, hey, what's his name?
Trenton.
Trenton, hey Trenton, let's cook some burgers. And Trenton says, okay, Tyrus, do you have any hamburger? No, but I'll go get some. So where do you go?
Yeah, you gotta go to Peoria.
Galesburg?
You gotta go to Peoria over there at
Really?
IV to go get some stuff. That's the closest one.
No kidding.
Oh yeah, we can't. Not in town,
Yeah.
but
There's nothing. How about Brimfield? You're not far from Brimfield.
yeah, there's Brimfield, but
Do,
I don't know,
do
I'd
they
rather
have
go
a
to-
grocery store in Brimfield?
do they?
No, I don't know.
I don't know either.
That was the question.
They got a Casey's.
They've got a Casey's.
Yeah, but Casey-
That's about it. All right.
I don't think Brentford has a grocery store.
Dude, I don't think they do either. So yeah, it is Peoria. We got to go to Peoria, but the ice cream place is called Stomping Grounds now.
Stomping
Oh, that's
Grounds. Let me
clever.
look it up. Well, that's a good name. You know,
Yeah, and there's a bakery.
in my travels in recent weeks and months and so forth have taken me into a lot of rural areas, and including subdivisions, beautiful subdivisions, and I think all of those are on septic tanks, and I wonder, yeah.
Those are good.
What is the appeal of building a $300,000 house out in the middle of nowhere? I've never understood the rationale for it beyond. Well, we like to get away from the crowd. They rarely hear a siren. I'm sure they
Yeah.
rarely hear gunshots in the middle of
Well,
the
if you
night.
got a
So
good-
that I can understand.
If you got a good piece of land, I can.
And you can buy probably land cheaper than you can in a subdivision in a city where
Yeah,
you'll pay thousands upon thousands of dollars.
I can
But
understand.
what do they do
somebody-
for water? Well, they have to dig a well.
have their own
The
well.
Yeah.
well water.
And
Yeah.
that, to me, you're depending on so many things over which you have no control. how much rain you
Mhm.
get, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And how large your septic tank is, and when it breaks down, what do? Get a new one?
Sometimes, yes, they only have a lifespan of so long, and
Yeah.
sometimes you do have to. No,
Yeah.
I am a city girl. I would be the first to admit I don't see any attraction to living way out in the country like that.
Well, I
Be
don't
that
either. I don't either. And yet, I understand. Like, we were at Lake Windermere, beautiful area, nice lakes, water places. I love to fish, and I think, well, this would be nice, pretty neat. But let's see. I need to get some meat. I need some groceries. Where do I go? And I don't know where they go. I don't know where they go. Probably go to Mackinac because they have an IGA store there. So that's not too far away.
no, it's still.
But
When I was in Wisconsin, I dated a guy, and he'd bought a piece of property, and it was overlooking a very beautiful piece of property. And he finally, when we started getting pretty serious, said it's time to build his house. His mom was, he used to tell me, I'm forever grateful to you. She said, you got him out of the house because he was in his 30s, so living at home.
yeah, that's unusual.
It was. And so he built this beautiful 3-bedroom home, but it was quite a distance in the town. I mean, it was a subdivision out, like you say, on overlooking the river. And so it was like Saturday mornings, okay, we're going into town. And you had your list, and you hit the grocery store, the hardware store, any other places, and that was a good half day of all your errands. And
Yep.
then, oh, and of course, back then that was in the days of Blockbuster Video and that. So, and of course, TV reception was rotten. So we'd go in and get the movies that we were going to watch for the weekend
Oh,
and that.
wow. Yeah.
And that. So it took a lot of forethought to do something. You just didn't on the spur of the moment say, "Oh, let's go in and do this."
And yet, obviously, there are people who like that
Some people love
style of living. I know I've gone with Kathy to Girard, Illinois, which is south of Springfield, about half hour, 35 minutes, something like that. And then we take a road off of 55 to get to Girard. And I'll see beautiful houses in the middle of nowhere.
I know, right?
And they're not on, they're not farmers. They're just they build a beautiful house, and I wonder what kind of a job do you have? Do you work at home? Do you work in Farmersville? Well, I don't think there's a lot of industry or business in Farmersville. So do you drive to Springfield to work? There are people when I worked at Methodist who drove to worked in the laboratory and lived in Cuba, and somebody lived in Lewiston. And I think, how can you live so far away and spend much of your daily life on the road going to and from work?
Yep.
But
Yep.
people do it,
Some people do.
and adjust to that way
My-
of life.
Actually, my dad kind of did that for a while.
Yeah,
He,
and he's a coach and a teacher.
he was a coach, so he was still at Cuba, and we lived in Canton, so he would drive to Cuba
Yeah.
every day.
What's the distance?
But it's
Don't
not
remember.
too bad. I mean,
Canton to Cuba.
yeah, it would be like going from Canton down
Isn't it like
to
45?
Lewiston.
Is it
Yeah.
45?
The
I'd say
thing
about
that
45
the thing that
minutes.
bothers me about that lifestyle is you spend a lot of time on a 2-lane road, and I've reached a point where I try to avoid 2-lane roads because so many people are on their cell phones talking, and they're coming toward you at 60, 65 miles an hour, even though the speed limit on a 2-lane road is 55.
Yeah.
I think, if I'm going to be in an accident, I want us all to be going in the same direction. I
Right.
feel a little safer under that. Hey, don't go away. We have 73 degrees, and we have this message.
This message is from the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. Did you serve in the military? Do you remember shopping at your commissary on base and how it provided major savings? Many veterans still have access to shop there, in person or online. Savings are only a tap away on the new Commissary Click to Go app for Apple and Android devices. The app allows you to place and pay for click-to-go orders with features to streamline your shopping experience, including accessing account history, order history with saved items and lists, and digital receipts. Start shopping now by visiting commissaries.com or downloading Click to Go from the Apple app or Google Play stores.
You know, we're talking about small towns. Do you have a favorite small town, a town that you enjoy going to? Stevens Point.
Hmm.
I always thought Stevens Point was a big city.
No, it is not a big city. It's a college town, and that brings a little different vibe
They
to
call it
things.
Stevens.
University of Wisconsin, Stevens Point.
Stevens Point. Okay.
Hmm. And then, of course, Century's headquarters were there, so that was another kind of white collar industry. But then right outside in Rapids and Nakusa, we've got paper
Ooh, that
mills.
sounds- when you say Rapids,
Wisconsin Rapids.
no kidding.
Yeah.
And a paper mill.
You had paper mills. Yep. So it was, and you talk about a downtown area. Their downtown was very vibrant, and they took a stretch of old buildings and revamped them, and so we had a little mini mall, but it was part of downtown. You could enter from the downtown Main Street side, or then they made nice big parking lot behind it, so you could come park there, walk through the mall. They had Penny's,
That
Shopko,
sounds neat.
Montgomery Wards.
When was the last time you were Montgomery Ward? Well, we're
When,
going back to-
when it opened, yes. Well, again, I was back there in the 80s, so
Okay.
yes.
You haven't been back since then.
Last
Okay.
time I was there was, I think, 2004.
Wouldn't it be nice to go back?
Oh,
and just,
I definitely want to go back again.
See what it looks like. How long a drive is it?
It's about a 5.5 hour drive.
Well, that's not too bad.
I was amazed just in the difference because I left in '89, and then I went back pretty regularly to play trivia. And then there's a large gap where I didn't go back until, like I said, 2004. And I was amazed, the growth. They'd even put in 2 extra,
Yep.
I want to call them exit ramps for highways, and that weren't there before. That's
Yeah,
just how much
definitely.
it had grown compared to it was when I left there.
Yeah. Is the college a big college?
It's a pretty good sized.
Like comparable to Bradley, would you say?
Yeah. Yeah, I would say comparable to Bradley.
Very good.
I asked Cyrus what his favorite small town is, and if it isn't Princeville, you're in trouble, pal.
He won't get back into town tonight.
Yeah, no, I think they'll block it off, you know. Yeah, it should be Princeville.
All right. Well, we'll have to visit Princeville someday in the very near future. Well, that wraps up our program this morning. Again, those of you who are on YouTube, thank you for being a part of our program
Yep.
this morning. And
Like,
those-
comment, subscribe. Yeah.
Good idea. And those listening to WAZU, thanks for being a part of our program. We'll be back tomorrow with more of the same and look forward to it. In the meantime, have a great day. Remember, God loves you, and so do we.
Smash that like button.